Hey guys, how's it going? It's been a crazy night. Looks like it's going to be a great morning as we record.
I don't know how you do it, man. I really don't. Man, I'm doing pretty good. How's it going, Mr. Neil?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, enjoying the sunshine here in Scotland for a change. So yeah,
Oh, I love that.
gonna
place.
diving.
All right, guys, prepare yourself. We're going live in 3, 2, and 1.
Hello and welcome to Station42, your weekly content and community-focused Star Citizen talk show. Today's show is hosted by the one and only Traz Ion. Say hello, Traz.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And yours truly, the infamously smooth Vadran Malik.
And let's not forget today's in-fiction sponsor.
Hey there, folks. Are you thirsty? Well, today you're in luck. Because today we launched the always special, always loved beef fighter. That's right. Prepare to enjoy the very best head, the foamy kind, you dirty bastard. So put out the call and let all your starfarers, let our wonderful starfare, damn, I'm drunk. Starfarer Guinness Delivery Edition swing by your port and fill your tankards with a bit of the deep, dark, space black liquid love that we've all come to know and enjoy. So hashtag Pint Citizen on the Spectrum Twitter, and we will see you soon. Not responsible for pirates.
Oh man. All right, so our broadcast is supported by the Star Citizen Facebook community, also known as Ready Player One, the Star Citizen subreddit, Twitch, Twitter, and of course the amazing people at CIG who keep our community thriving. Yeah, good people.
Today,
Good people.
Today, I'd like to introduce a special guest, Neil Hartop, also known as WolfFire, from around the verse, a fellow Star Citizen killing it all the way from northern Scotland.
Northern Ireland. I live in
But just-
Scotland. Yeah,
So there's the
fine.
difference. I
You
was
should.
waiting
yeah.
for the
You gotta trust my
discrepancy.
notes, man.
Born
You
and
gotta
raised
trust
in
my
Northern
notes.
Ireland, but I live in Scotland now, so yeah,
And
it's good.
there is no northern Scotland.
There's always northern something, I promise. He's been a backer since 2013 and a solid single-seater fleet crowd with a Carrack and a Connie.
Yeah.
So currently not flying for any org, but he's always looking for opportunities. Mr. WolfFire, it's great to finally have you on.
Thank you very much for having me on, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to see you make it out to us. I'm glad we were able to do the recording, even if it's like not our normal time. So unfortunately,
Yeah.
we're not live tonight, guys. We're actually recording in the morning, but no, it's great. Yeah, so thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, no worries. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. All right, well, let's see. General topics, man. Like, it's been a crazy few weeks. We've had 2.4 come out. We've had all kinds of interesting, I suppose, hat tips to the future. With I know the 10 for the chairman last week, or at the beginning of this past week. Chris Roberts was definitely filled with excitement. You can kind of tell on his final question. So I think rather than focusing on features and content that we know are coming, because we've kind of addressed that, we're gonna do some theory crafting this week. But we'll do some obligatory 2.4 discussion too. So I'm definitely most curious about what your experience has been like lately, because you said you've been too busy to play a lot, but you did get to see it since it released, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's come on leaps and bounds. It's incredible. I think it's already absolutely fantastic for what it is.
Oh yeah.
It's still got a lot of problems, but considering, I think it's great.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was the first ship you flew when you logged into the 2.4 patch?
Oh God, I can't even remember. Um,
All right. Well, don't worry about the ship. What was the first thing you did? Did you go after like ICC missions? Did you jump out to Yella? Did you what was your first the first thing you did? Buy some shoes.
Oh yeah, man! I got my Prada on.
I think I spent most of the time just trying stuff on. I think that's all I did. I just started going into trying different clothes on, and I thought I went shopping for a little while.
Did
I
you
think I mostly just
did you
did
jump
that.
it? Did you jump into ArcCorp? Because you know ArcCorp has more shopping options than the shops in Port Olisar, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like, I think I mostly just did that. I think mostly just started like, to me, like I like all the RPG elements.
Uh huh.
I love, just customizing my own
The
character.
character. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's always kind of been like kind of what's appealed to me quite a lot about the type of games that I play. So I
Right.
quite enjoyed just doing that.
Nah,
Um,
but I'm not gonna lie, man. Like I love flying and dogfighting, but like there's a point where I wear out on that. But I still love the
yeah.
universe because it's such high fidelity. Like even
Mm,
recently, I've been alternating playing an old emulation game. I've been playing EverQuest One just because I talked about it on the show a week back,
old
and
school.
yeah, so I'm playing that, and I love that you can log in and just kind of wander around and do different things and kind of exist in that universe. But I'm so tired of like the I mean it's an old graphics game and it doesn't have all the polish that like Star Citizen is going for and everything else. I can't wait to exist in Star Citizen where you log on and there's a lot more to do than just get in your ship and go kill people.
But sometimes it's the mechanics that will always shine through
Right.
more than any graphics. And
Oh yeah.
one of the reasons why I got interested in Star Citizen is not because I'm actually particularly interested in space games. I've never really had a background of playing Wing Commander games. I've always
Uh-huh.
had a background of playing RPG games. That's always been kind of what's interested me about Star Citizen, is finding my own unique path through a game, through an entire universe. And
Right.
that's what
To
that's
live in
what
it.
that's what it, to live in it, and a living breathing world where you're an individual and not just a generic clone multiplied by tens of thousands the way every other player is. You become this individual. Like, I've always really loved the Elder Scroll games,
Oh yeah.
and that aspect of Elder Scrolls being brought into Star Citizen, that RPG elements, is what attracts me more than anything else, is being able to customize my character, being able to like customize my ship, being able to do my own missions, just pick a direction and go in it with my friends, and see where it takes me. That's what initially appealed to me about Star Citizen, and that's what I'm most looking forward to than anything else.
I
And
think
it's those mechanics is what I find the most interesting. Obviously the fidelity of the graphics is what's going to put it
Mm.
above everything else, but it's that customizable content is what I'm most looking forward to.
you're singing the song, my friend. That is on point. I feel pretty much the same way. Like I mean, I'm usually good at action games. I'm good at dogfighting games, so I enjoy that, and that's fine. But just like most Twitch-based first-person shooters, I get bored. It doesn't matter how good I am.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter how successful I can be at that game.
there's
Playing
always
enough,
someone better.
and I'm just
Always
well,
someone.
yeah. There's that too, but I don't even mean from
Yeah.
the competitive side of it. I just mean that like there's a point where I'm like, okay, well, I'm bored now. What else is there
Yeah.
to do? And
Now my friends played loads of Counter Strike. I just could never get into Counter Strike. I just could never, like, I could understand the appeal of it, but it was so. I just was there was just no
Oh,
depth to it at all. Like, it was just all skill based and Twitch based, and
right.
I'm way too slow. I have the worst reactions in the world. Yeah, I suck so bad at it. Like, it's just being screamed at by all these people from around the world about how awful I am. It's like, this is not why I want to play video games. I just want to. I don't know.
eh. I kind of felt like I was actually the very first victim of being robbed whenever I loaded into my hangar the first time because it completely stripped out everything. So I think I spent the very first day just reorganizing and getting my hangar flare
All
in
your
the
flares, yeah.
industrial, get everything back to where it was or some semblance of it, and then I swapped hangars to the Rebel in York just so I could actually change out some ships and things. So I used the Rebel in York to actually to change out. But if I actually wanted to go and look at some of the aesthetics, then I go back to the industrial.
Nice. Yeah, you guys. Do you guys? I mean, as much as I love the VFG hanger, but sometimes the baseline self-land hanger just makes me happy. I like it sounds, it feels like a garage. Like it's
I
just
think it's the lighting or
yeah.
something about that guy. It really feels like it gets dirty and grimy
But it
and
feels
real.
kind of like a
And,
homey, like a
yeah,
homey place though. Very earthy.
Yeah, I like the catwalks. I think more than anything, just walking around up on the
yeah.
Those make me think of Alien.
I really, I'm really looking forward to when we get a like the room system. I mean, there hasn't really been any mention of the room system, but they don't really need to mention it because with item port, it's kind of implied that that's kind of probably how they're going to do it.
So So there's a question right there. Do you think that rooms are going to be a purchasable asset? Do you think we're gonna like maybe get like two rooms by default as a bonus, and then like have to like if we wanted to flesh out our hangars to make them into
Um,
something more? Do you think that that'll be an avenue for revenue? That's funny.
um, I mean, obviously you can't put LTI in a room.
Well,
um,
you
I,
could,
I,
but it
I
would
don't
be
want
kind of
that to
pointless.
be. I mean, I kind of don't want that to be something that we're purchasing room modules for cash because I mean I know that we want to add development funds and all that, but I
Well,
think that those things should be purchased with UEC, and
Yeah, I would
and
agree to that.
so
It has to
the
be a line.
right. And now don't get me wrong, you're going to be able to buy UEC at a daily limit and then up to a total monthly limit, and then that can help you afford to buy rooms and stuff. But
hmm,
aside from them, like if they want to do like just a couple of rooms early on to give us like kind of like everything else, where we get a first iteration where we can test, we can play around with it.
yeah, yeah.
That's fine. But I don't necessarily want to see them pick up, remonetizing every single thing. Like
Well, I was thinking for the like future down the line. I'm always thinking on a long term. I'm not really looking at the next 5 years. I'm looking at the next 10 years because it's probably going to as an assumption. It's probably going to take about another three before the game actually completely and fully launches with every single goal met in in my own mind. What I look at mainly though is like and when it's 20 you know like 2020 or something 2023 like the game is slowing down and winding down, could you actually go and like user created mods go in and actually make for example a barracks based hangar or a mercantile hangar or all
I
these
don't
kind of
see why
hangars
not.
and like
sure, skins and
well yeah, you're scanning it out, you're adding assets to it, and you're like maybe what paying $20 to have the whole layout
well, I see.
as
I'm all for that, but I'm not for like saying, "Hey, $20 for this layout." I
oh
want it.
yeah.
I want it to be just UEC. If you wanna be putting in, $20 a day up to your, maximum of whatever
Well, yeah.
100 a month or whatever, you can. But that's not going to instantly get you what you need. That's just going to make it a little easier if you so choose.
You
At the
have
So
end
to
of the
like
day,
worry about stuff like that as well, because like a good example is like microtransactions and how the general public sees these. And
yeah,
like quite recently, with a lot of the transactions for the FIFA games, like was it FIFA 16, and there was all these kids and they're spending thousands and thousands of pounds on their PlayStation networks buying um, all
I'm in
these
the wrong bracket.
microtransactions that come to FIFA 16. And then, of course, all this is publicized. It's like kid racks up $3,500 debt to the parent's account because he was buying teams for FIFA 16.
wow,
And that's because it was so easy for these kids to just buy a kit
Well,
or
right.
buy something else. You know what
so
I mean? So like so it's one thing like buying chips, but like if it gets down to the level where it's like buying stuff for rooms and all this type of stuff, I think it's
I,
a
I
step
th-
too far.
I'm thinking that in some capacity there should be that there should always be a purchasable asset to a degree. At the same time, I agree with what you're saying. I'm a big fan of having the game money have more credence and value than actual real cash
Yeah.
to the gamer. So with that being said, at the same time, also look at all these high level orgs, all these guys that have got like they've got like surplus of 500 1,000 members and basically yeah they have the collateral, they have the cash and the assets, and they want to actually pull their money together, and so I feel like there should be a way for them to let them do that.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess it's how they do it.
Yes,
It's how they implement
the how is going to be the important thing. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think any of us are opposed to them having monetization in such a way that it allows the servers to run, you know, unlimited, and it allows development to continue as after the game has, quote unquote launched. I mean, because that has to happen because this is a game that is technically never finished. It's a game that, as soon as they actually finish meeting all of the mandatory requirements
they'll
on,
keep
the
going.
checklist, there's a
Yeah.
dozen post launch stretch goals that we
Yeah.
unlocked. Then there's dozens of ideas that they're like, well, that would be a really great idea, but we don't even want to put it on the list because we have so many other things first. So
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I
I've
just
always looked at Star Citizen like that. I've always looked at it as, in a way, in that Eve universe where it will be released and it has all these goals met. But like you say, like 10 years down the line, it'll be continually expanding and it continually
right. I mean,
evolving.
if they can keep the fidelity rising, and if they can attach it to VR, in the sense, I mean, this is almost akin to, like, if you've ever read the Ready Player One book. This is why the Facebook group that that I built was nicknamed after that, because there's some parallels there. The idea is that this could be a second universe. This is your a second life. You have avatars in it and assets and places that you can go, and you're logged into VR. You could go to your distant house on the moons of you know Taiban or something, where it's got a really beautiful view, and just hang out. You're not even necessarily worried about playing or whatever, and it's this whole secondary thing. And by being that invested, people will continue to put money in, and new people will be continue to attract to it, more so than just the people that are Twitch shooter fans. Because I mean,
Well,
right now it's still pretty twitchy as far as the dog fighting stuff. It's still a little, even though, because we don't have all the simulation aspects of the game in to make it anything but twitchy. So it is what it is. But the longevity of the game will depend on having a lot more features, a lot more richness and depth. So I'm sure they'll monetize some of it. It's just will they do it in a way that works?
yeah, that's it, isn't it? Because Eve, it's okay for Eve because they have a monthly charge, don't they, to play Eve? I've never played Eve,
Right,
Mhm.
but
right,
you
right.
have, but it's kind of like World of Warcraft, these type of games where you have to pay a monthly fee to play them.
Yeah.
But if Star Citizen doesn't have that, they still have to have some type of money coming in. So
Oh yeah.
10 years from now, if they want to be expanding and continue to expand, they still need to have some type of financial revenue.
Right.
How
And
they
I
can
was
do that?
It just needs to be done in a way where it's like Steam. I have no complaints about the way Steam advertises to me. I have no complaints about the way Steam markets or purchasing their product. I love Steam. I support it because they're delivering the content I want the way I want it. But there's a lot of aggressive marketing out there where the companies overstep their bounds. They act from a
Yeah,
place that isn't ethical. It's like you were
yeah,
talking about that whole thing with FIFA, 2016,
yep,
and the PlayStation Network, where they're like,
yep,
sure, we'll just make it super easy for your kids to just rack up your card.
yeah.
Oh, that's
And
your
they
that's
will
your
never
fault,
get refunds.
right? And
Never get refunds for
and
stuff like that as
and I
well.
and I got it. It's like, oh, that's all the parents' responsibility. But at the same time, you're setting things up for, yeah,
Yeah,
okay, buddy. But the thing is I think that Star Citizen has a pretty good ethic so far. I mean, they may not have made everybody happy, and I know there are the people that they
there's no way to
lied to
do
me.
that.
But it's like,
yeah,
okay, you armchair game developer, good for you for having
Hmm.
respect for the fact that things don't always go as planned. Um, there's a difference. There's a difference between being outright lied to, and a company that's trying to do the right thing, but things change, and you learn from your mistakes, and you keep on trucking.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
The thing is that I don't have a problem if, say, for example, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, that if there was a monthly fee to play Star Citizen,
Right.
and they would say, like, say, 7 years from now, they're like, okay, guys, we really don't want to charge you anymore for all these different things in the game. We think it's easier if we just charge you, I don't know, $30 a month. Then and that just comes out of your bank.
And
I'd be happy with that. I'd be
Well,
totally happy. But
the
yeah, sure.
a
my
lot of
comment to that,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. My com-
Endorse.
my comment to that is there was a guy that actually had said what would happen if we had a subscription. I can't remember who originally said it, but it was an RP1, and I flat out am opposed to it because I've backed enough. I have over 2,000 invested, and so my initial thoughts are that if you give me a month of free game time for every $15 that I've already spent. And I understand that they're developing, and I understand that they're trying to draw a profit, but do you really want to make the person mad that was pushing for you to succeed in the first place, or do you want to, you
Yeah,
know, and
that's quite
so
true. Somebody who spent a large amount of money into the game, it would be very cheeky to turn around and say, by the way, now give me
Right.
yeah,
30,
yeah,
40,
Well,
$50 a
I'm
month on
already
top of that. Yeah.
I'm already a subscriber. I already do
Yeah.
that, and so
Yeah.
for that to be a mandatory thing, I think that I would be kind of disgusted with it.
well,
I
the thing there is one, because of the points that you guys have both made, it will never go to a subscription only model because there's no way for them to do that without
it
completely
should be an option,
right.
maybe.
That's kind of the where I'm going with it is I think that you should be able to voluntarily subscribe
Mm.
and have that money go towards development. Because like right now, subscribing in the game right now,
Yes.
that money doesn't go
It
towards
kind of does
development.
that. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Because
it doesn't go to development. It goes towards the community content, which
but
is that's fine. But
yeah,
it would be
the
interesting
idea
if
is still there. Saying,
yes,
you can
yes.
voluntarily give them
But
$30 a month.
and that's exactly like right now the fact that you can spend money on UEC means that you can subscribe. That is subscribing. If you spend $10 a month on UEC a UEC infusion to your account, then it's an optional. And I like optional because I don't like being forced. If you don't force me, I'm a
Yes.
Yeah.
lot more likely to spend money with you than if you try to force me. As soon as you get aggressive in
Yeah.
your marketing, I take my wallet and I
Yeah.
walk away. You know. Anyways,
The while we're on the topics of the games and the monies and everything else, what do we feel about the Alpha UEC accrual system inside of 2.4? How's everybody? Is there anybody rich yet? Either of you guys? Because I don't have
yeah.
enough frame rates to get money.
I find it's pretty easy. If you do ICC missions, I mean, they pay out so well, and they're not particularly challenging. You can do com arrays; those pay out in smaller increments and are quicker to jump to and from. Um, you know, but they get a little boring pretty quick.
So what do you think about the outlaw system? Do you think that the higher the outlaw, the more the player should be worth?
Sure. I
Bounty
think that
hunters
I
are
think I think
screaming at me.
No, I think the whole point of having a tiered outlaw system is because a person is worth more or less. I think that long term, they're gonna have to move away from a monochromatic one level system for outlaw. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
there needs to be just like in the real world where there's misdemeanors versus capital crimes. There's a difference between homicide and murder. They need to have like two or three different criminal tracks, and each one scales. Has different kinds of
Yeah, different kinds
so
of
basically,
punishments.
basically they need to
Seems similar to, yeah.
they need to move away completely from the tiered level system and go where like if you commit slavery or you kill somebody in an ejection pod or you do those kinds of things, it's going to give you a lot more bounty or
Well,
different or maybe a kill on sight as opposed to a dead or alive or
so
only find them.
So it sounds very similar to the system they have in Elite.
I
But,
haven't played Elite. Tell me about that.
well, because I play Elite, and there is that similar idea where if you are killing other players, by pirate, not by any type of
pseudo griefing.
very grievous, yeah, or you can like smuggle slaves, which has got me in trouble in Elite recently because I've been smuggling slaves. So now there's a bounty on my head on quite a lot of systems, but
Right.
because I've continued to do it, the bounty has gone up, and then obviously every time
Every time you make money.
every time I call it, yeah, no, every time I make money, like another player sees me and like I'm fair game because I'm actually like they can get quite a lot of money from just killing my
Right.
shit.
Right.
So it sounds like it's a similar system to what Elite is doing as well,
Right.
which I think is great. It adds.
I just want to see them break it out to where it's not just a, oh, you've create like each crime just adds a raw bounty. I think it needs to be, there needs to be differentiation,
uh,
what it needs to get broken down in other ways. Like for
tier
instance,
system.
if you're doing certain kinds of like if you're breaking the law, like say you're smuggling or you're caught threatening somebody, but you don't kill them and you take their stuff, like you might have a bounty, but when a bounty hunter comes after you, if they kill you, they're going to get in trouble because there's going to be restrictions on how they can like
Right.
maybe
Oh,
they
I
need to
see.
arrest you because your crimes didn't
Yeah.
weren't worth a death warrant. However,
And that
if you murder people or or maybe slavery or maybe some of these things, then all of a sudden you've got to kill dead or
kill inside.
alive, and you get two different rewards based on how you capture them, and then and if it's somebody who's actually uh,
I do like the idea of having to bring them in alive, though. That would make very,
Yeah,
very
right,
interesting gameplay.
you want
that's
deeper
there too.
gameplay for the bounty hunters too, and if you don't have those subtle gradients and those granular detail to what crime is, then being a bounty hunter or being a an in-game advocacy style player is going to be get mighty boring. Because I'm sorry, like
Yeah.
So,
killing a player for a raw lump sum of money just is not that exciting.
Well,
well,
sometimes like the biggest problem in Elite is you could be have a bounty and your bounty could be nothing. It could literally be 40 credits. And then sometimes you think about you can rack up a bounty 4 million credits, and 40 credits is nothing. People will still shoot and kill you just for the sake of 40 credits, you know?
Right.
So there
the
has to be like you're right. There has to be some type of tier. If you took it in the real world, if somebody is wanted by the law for something that is very misdemeanor, you wouldn't go out and kill them and bring in their dead bodies. You would arrest them. If someone was a murderer, you would bring them in dead or alive. So
Right.
you're right. If there is this more intricate tier system, I think it would make a lot more interesting gameplay.
so to try and get this thought out of my head while I've still got it in there, the 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 good guys get to have bounty hunters. So the good guys actually get to say penalize the bad people who boohoo for getting pirated, killed, slaved out, whatever it is that
Yeah.
happened to them. I understand that, and that's all well and good. I do think that the bounty hunters would probably not get penalized so much as they would just probably receive no reward if they killed the guy that just like was selling drugs on the corner of Terra.
I still don't.
Um,
I still don't think that's enough, though. I think that there
uh,
should, like, as a bounty hunter, when you sign up with the guild and you take on a contract, you have a certain level of professional expectation. It's like if you're cooking a burger for somebody as a cook, if you drop a burger on the floor and then reserve it to the person, you're probably going to get fired. So there's going to be a consequence for not just failing to do your job, but failing to do your
I've
job
seen
in such a way
people
that
do that
oh,
before and
that
get
does not
away with it.
that don't make it
So,
okay.
oh, I know it
But
doesn't, but
that's what I'm saying though, is I mean
I used to work in a restaurant, and
well,
it's
all I would
risk.
say is never
It's
be rude to your waiter. Never
yes.
be rude to
so
your waiter. Ever.
so what I'm getting at though is that there should this be some kind of a grace for the bounty hunter, because just because I'm drug dealer Joe doesn't mean that I still probably wouldn't shoot your ass. So my point of it is that hostile resistance is still just that. Now, so what you're telling me is that they have to go and they have to sweet talk a guy into bending over and letting them get handcuffs on them, and that's not going to fly. The bounty hunter has
Yeah.
to have some sort of level of protection against. Well, I mean, he tried to shoot at me, he tried to kill me, he tried to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There has to be a methodology that in place that says, you know, so the
Well,
bounty hunter's basically not entitled to kill him to have his gun drawn when he goes up to him. He's got to have a stun baton. Here, let me try and club you.
well,
No, I'm gonna
that's
shoot
gonna
you first.
that's gonna make that's what's gonna make the game interesting. I mean, maybe the reason a particular mission pays out so well is because the requirements of the mission are so tough. Because you're
Yeah.
actually having to take this guy alive, and if you
Yeah.
kill him, and you
Well,
kill him in a place that's a monitored system, then
like
you are gonna
you
get
got
a
500 credits for bringing in
I,
his dead body,
I
but you get 5 million credits if you bring him in alive.
I will always be an advocate that the bounty hunters need to exist, and I'll also advocate that the piracy side needs to have a pseudo mock-up of a bounty hunter as well. And the reason being is because there will be some pirates that will be, even though they're pirates, they're still okay. They'll be fair to the word. They'll do right by people where they can. There are some of these people that just want to live rebelliously and not have any constraints. So when I look at there's other types of players. There's other the super griefer, the guy that just wants to kill everybody on sight. I look to him and I'm like, I want to take him out on a daily basis. That's the person that I want to go after, is the person that's always causing the fight. So when I look at it, I think the pirates need a kind of bounty hunter too, because I don't think that it's fair that a basically a where I'm going with this is that you can go and you can put a bounty on my head and you can say, "Oh, he
Already
robbed
did.
me." Well, he robbed me, and he took all my money, and I didn't even do anything. I just happened to have because I have out other infractions. You can just kind of point the finger at me and say he did it. He did it, and so you can go and contract the bounty hunters to go and get me for no reason. So where's the fairness in that if I haven't even met you before?
Right.
So I feel that bounty
Well,
hunters, I
any
feel that
system that they
pirates,
do, they're gonna there's gonna be players who are gonna try to abuse it out of the context of
Oh
the
yeah,
yeah,
game. So
and,
it's
and
it's
people
gonna be
all
a
have
hell of a tough
grudges.
system to pull off, I
Yeah.
think.
and that's where I think that the pirates need a methodology of bounty hunters that aren't restrained by laws or restrictions, and that's the reason why I feel like
Well,
a
sure.
pseudo
I think
mercenary,
that comes
pseudo.
down to like who you work for. Like when I was talking about there being restrictions, that would make sense if you worked for like a bonded bounty hunter
Yeah,
or guild, and then maybe there are benefits for being a solo bounty hunter versus being in a guild. Just like in most fantasy games, if you're a rogue and you work for a guild, then you work within a certain structure. You're still a criminal, but it's like organized crime versus either being the amateur on the side.
to make it
Oh,
kind
they're
of
coming for you, Vadron. They're coming
I'm
for you.
used to it. It's fine. They drive by all the time. They just know where I'm at. To make it to bring it home though, there's character good and evil alignment classifications in D&D, and one of the things that always comes to mind for me is lawful evil. So what happens is a person actually skirts the law and obeys the law perfectly, but uses the law and twists it so that he can actually get benefits and favors from the law. So all these law-abiding citizens can still be just as evil, maniacal, and twisted as the pirates. So I feel that the
So
pirates have to
basically,
have
our political system.
yeah, yeah. They abuse the political system for their own personal gain,
There
and
will be
hence
a
that's the
time,
reason
yeah. Mm.
the assassins. I feel that pirates should have access to mercenary assassins in the game that could go and distribute justice at the pull of a trigger instead
Sure.
of
Well,
the
but that doesn't even. Roles don't necessarily need to be specific. The
well,
players
no, they
just
don't. But
give us as players enough tools that we can do those things. You do want in built-in systems to help support that, like ways for us to set a bounty on a player and know that NPCs will try to go after it too. And I'm sure some of it will
right.
be codified, but some of those roles like that might be the kind of thing that is purely a emergent role that's defined by the players and market demands.
And that's the whole thing is that I'm
It's going to
always
be
going
trial and
to
error. There's no two ways about it. It
well
will
Right.
yeah,
inevitably
yeah.
try.
I just don't want
And
to
in a
have
yeah, but in a strange way, you do need people to abuse it to know where the holes are. You know what
Right.
I mean? It's
that's one
like,
of the biggest ones to me is that the
Come on,
people
baby.
don't
If you don't
understand
let
that.
me abuse it, how am I going to know where the hole is?
Well, that's the thing. You're never going to know because I'm going to keep running. The point the big deal for me is that it's not fair in my mind that they the law abiding the people that intend to play perfectly 100% of the time are going to have a system of defense, whereas supposedly they could also just be just as evil. The other benefit of the assassin system that I was thinking of in my head is that say that you have a goody two shoes merchant person and you're competing with that person and they're always snubbing you. Not only are they like outperforming you, but they're like literally trolling you in the chat box and pissing you off and
hmm
just making your game experience completely shitty. If you could go and talk to a would-be assassin or a mercenary assassin who doesn't have any just I don't care. You pay me
What
money, I go kill him.
what makes you think that that won't exist though? Like
I think that it won't exist at first. I think that everything will be a giant bloodbath, and then it'll calm down. I think the
I don't know
beginning.
what you're talking about because Neil, I mean, an unknown person has already hired me to wax. I mean, visit your home and say hi.
I live in Atlanta.
Oh, apparently you're already taken care of because they're coming for you.
Uh-huh.
You
Gotta
can
love
hear
those.
that. Can you hear that? Is
Yeah, we can
that
hear that. It's NPCs.
yeah,
They're
that's
totally,
Scotland for you. Yeah,
they're
Crusader
totally after me.
security coming for you, buddy.
God damn it! I
yeah,
haven't even
overt,
done
yeah.
anything. All I said was I was going to kill this beer. Shit.
Yep.
Oh man.
So
No,
It's
I
it's
just
very the thing is like life itself. They are very complex problems, and they are wrapped around some type of justice system that it's only going to be able to take time and years and years and years. Much like Eve has his extremely complex systems, it
right.
takes a very very long time for all these systems to iron themselves out. And it is very true what you say at the start. It will be like an absolute bloodbath, where people would just shoot each other on sight, and then
eh,
eventually, if there are systems in place where this type of gameplay can exist, it will eventually get to that stage.
Yeah, and
And
that's
I
a lot
really,
of.
really hope it does get to that stage
Oh yeah.
where we have these very complex justice systems.
And I
the
think that's exactly why we're iterating now. I mean that is the strength of the open development that people often forget is they can bitch about this not being perfect right now, but that's the whole point is because we're trying to sort it out so that by the time we have more people in, it'll already be better.
Yeah.
you've talked to me about a little bit about the alpha UEC and how easy it is to get the money on there. And what about the purchasing going outlaw? Is it easy to get outlaw now? I haven't been 5-star in forever.
Yes and no. Like honestly, I find the the experience of playing as an outlaw is if you're just trying to make money, it is not worth it at all at this point. But it's more engaging as a role because anytime you go
Yeah, Skippy.
anywhere where there's a lot of players or if you're being tracked, you there's always going to be those hot shots who are going to come after you. So you're always fighting 2 or 3v1 at the minimum. You can't go to do the investigator mission because somebody's going to see your ship parked there and they're just going to come and blow it up and then
Yeah.
you're trapped inside. The only real way to make money is, I mean, I guess you could go FPS in Korea, but the thing is Korea isn't easily marked, so you can't tell who other pirates are, and you know, it's not consistent enough money making that you're going to be able to make it like super profitable. So then, if you're going to do it from ship combat, that means killing aceto techs or technicians, the guys who are trying to turn on comm arrays. That experience is also a waiting game because you have to find a comm array that's already down, then you got to park and wait, and then when they
Hmm.
come in, you have to kill them without them jumping out before they finish off the two NPC pirates or kill you and then go in and turn it on. So like there's a small window and then you don't get paid that much. So the motivation for being an outlaw is really more of one of, I guess, experiencing the role of sneaking around the star system and having to play, having to survive. It turns the game into a much more survival oriented game
Yeah.
instead of, so it's almost like playing, Minecraft on day one. You're like,
Uh,
how am I going to refuel my ship? How am I going to repair my this damage I've taken? Where because everywhere I go that's legal, security spawns, according to how high a level I am.
Yeah.
Have
I'm gonna throw a curveball your way. Has anybody heard anything about the Prowler?
Prowler.
No.
I don't know. I thought I heard about it, but it was out in the dark and it just looked like something was prowling around, and I just didn't. I couldn't get a good look at
Wrong one. Damn Texan.
it.
Is it-
So tell me about the Prowler. What is the Prowler?
The Prowler is a Tavaran stealth ship from the Tavaran War
Uh huh.
that they never could figure out the tech. they during so we won against the Tavaran. We beat them up and everything, technologically superior, all that. The thing that I'm looking at with the Prowler is that it was intended as a complete stealth vehicle, and what it is, they would sneak up to a UE vessel, and they would actually EVA out and board the ship and kill everybody inside without them knowing it. It's intended to be a EVA stealth dropship.
Right. Okay.
It's also it's one of the few ships that's on the original, like the list of ships that have been voted for and all of that we haven't seen. So I expected it sooner, but I can see why not, because just like the Xi'an, just like the Banu, it's it's a
Alien.
race that needs an entire style guide and everything else before we even. And also there's the tech, like how do we make their their racial predispositions um, show up in their ship technology in a way that gives it meaningful, that makes it meaningful and memorable, and not
Yeah.
just a reskin.
Well, I can see. We don't even really know what the little guys look like. Supposedly they're
No, we
short.
don't.
I always vision them. I always see them in my head as shorter than humans. I always see them as kind of like these. They're like basically the little guys. Punt, get out of my way. That,
See,
that kind of thing.
I actually didn't see them that way. I saw them more as the akin to like Mass Effect. The oh gosh, what's the race? The alien race, the big hulking kind of dudes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
I
know the
can
guys you're talking about.
Hangover Sunday for recording shows is not doing good on my nerd memory.
Well, we can go ahead and change subjects.
No, no, no. Actually, the Prowler and that topic is actually really interesting. It's something that no one's really talked
See.
a whole lot about. I mean, because we don't know a lot. I mean, we don't have art. We don't know what a Tavaran looks like. So obviously,
We,
if we don't even have the character concept art for
we
that,
do have the lore though.
a fair bit of it, but it's still lore that fills in kind of the cracks. I feel like we don't have any just. I mean, yeah, yeah,
So there was a Tavaran War 1 and 2. The first one, obviously, they failed, and the second one they failed. But the second one, the
was a
person that organized the
suicide
second war
kamikaze. We
was a
want we want to die on
suicide
our own.
kamikaze onto the planet, on our own home planet. And they said originally that there was another that I want to say, and you're going to have to hunt for this if you actually try to find it. But there was a planet inside of the Arc system that was recently discovered, and they found an entire brand new Tavaran war fleet sitting on a planet completely by itself. Nobody knew it was there. It's
Yeah,
just
that's
completely empty.
it's pretty creepy.
So, well, the reason
Hmm.
why it's creepy is because it means there could be a Tavaran uprising again, and that was part of the fleet. They found that fleet. So, where are the others at? Are they caches of other militia just chilling out, waiting to happen?
They're from Tavaristan, and they're coming.
But well, given the fact that the Tavaran are also inside of the politics, we actually have a Tavaran as a I want to say UEE senator.
Right.
Maybe I'm saying that wrong, but he's well, yeah, he's into the politics, and he's by controlling the UEE, is he controlling us? So the on the purist side, we shouldn't let alien races supplant human interest, and on the other side of the fence, we basically have subjugated this race of people into being, and see there again, somebody would be offended by me saying people, not alien. This alien race, we would
Hmm.
basically should be responsible for them, and we should be taking care of them. So there's two sides to that fence.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting because that kind of dabbles on like political ethics
Yes, it
and open
does.
and closed mindedness in the real world. But I'm of the mindset that, like, right, if you defeated people so badly that they have no home world, and now they are literally absorbed
Refugees.
yeah,
Yes.
refugees that live within your society. You need to bring them on board, enculturate them, and
Well,
give them a future. Because if you take away the future from anything, that gives them all the reason to fight to the bloody end.
and also
Is
though, you have to be careful about the culture thing too, as we're seeing in the real world is also what's been experienced in the past. The American Indians, for example, were cultured by becoming Christian. That was a lot of was very very torturous for some of them. Um, the, the in one way, this is actually almost an American argument in a way because a lot of people they come over, but they never really change their mindsets. They don't say I'm American anymore. They still say that I am of a different
Well,
ethnicity.
but that's the thing though is people and
And
viewpoints and culture sometimes need more time than we have in a single lifetime to shift.
right,
And I mean, you can be very pro. I want to save the cultural heritage, or you can be on the flip side of
right,
that, where you're like, oh no, we should just blend all the cultures. And there's strengths and damage to
weaknesses
both.
to both.
I mean, there's beauty and diversity in the same way that you at the same time you have to have enough homogenization that your species doesn't speciate if you're going to take it all the way out into biology. So
And
which
so when you speak to a Devaran today, if you take a look at the writer's guide, they're very cynical. They're very sarcastic. They really don't like being subjugated, if you will. They don't really accept their lot in life. And so I see them being the wisecrackers. I see them being the that annoying little voice in the back of your head that says you should have done this right, you damn human. They're that kind of a character. I see that in being, if you're a friend with one, then you're like kind of like a Wookiee, almost like a friend for life. But for the most part, they just don't like their lot, and they
Don't
they
anger
have a
them.
reason not to be. I don't know. They might like chew your ankles off. I don't know how tall they are, so. But yeah, culture subjugation of a culture. How do you make you can't go and make a person that's been a way of life into another way of life when they
well,
come over here, and
I,
that's the
I
biggest
think
problem.
I think at the end of the day, when people are happy, when they have a roof over the head, when they have food, when they have general respect for their boundaries, and they can generally just live, pretty much all people the world over, regardless of race or culture, pretty much want the same basic things. Oftentimes, the the demonization
Of
and
a group.
of a group, has to do with power, has to do with diminishing one people in order to take something from them, or empower your own whatever. Um,
All right,
It,
so
anyways,
we see it
off the
here all
deep
the
end.
time in the UK.
Yeah,
It's a lot got to do with fear of losing what you have.
right,
And it's about people being scared of what they have, and people coming in and taking that away from you, and taking away your culture, or taking away your money, or taking
right,
away your jobs. And we've seen a lot of that scaremongering quite recently in United Kingdom of because of people coming in to the UK that need help. And
right.
there are certain aspects of every culture where they push against that, and they're like, well, no, because I have my family, and I have my children need these jobs, and they need this, and they need that, and we have what we have, and not my responsibility to like deal with anything else. So it is not just an
eh,
American thing; it is a worldwide
It is.
problem of how
We
we treat people, from different backgrounds, and
the
how we.
you want to break bread though.
yeah
I
I
mean, I think that everything starts with like knocking on that door and being brave enough to say, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. Would you like to come over for dinner?" Or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course, absolutely. It all starts with an olive branch. It all starts with
yeah
getting to know somebody. If you like, it all comes down to basic fear of the unknown. If you don't know a person, you don't know where their background is or their way of life. The instinct of the human being is to fear it because you don't understand it. So, that can be resolved by understanding it very
yeah.
quickly, and then the fear dissipates.
Well, and it's not to dive into like real world politics instead of
I love this.
nerdy pew pew, but but
I
we
thought they were going to be talking about goddamn dragonfly. What the fuck is this shit?
right? No, but we as a species are young, humanity, and we are definitely not appropriately equipped yet to handle some of our challenges, and it is frustrating. I mean, seeing the world tear itself apart sometimes, or even be pitted against each other. all for power and wealth. But it's anyhow right. So back to the game. That
Dragonfly.
dragonfly, I hear it's almost flyable. Ah!
Mm. There you go. Semi-flyable. How soon will we see it? I think that we've already seen it, so let's skip the question. No, I'm playing.
What? No,
Gotta
well,
mess with
well,
you. Gotta mess
the
with you.
thing with, I mean, we saw it. I mean, I know some people think we'll see it in 2.5. Um,
I'm hopeful.
Grayheaded and I
Wow,
were
that
chatting.
quick? You really think it'd be that quick?
I
It's
don't.
really
I
small.
don't.
I mean, shit, just slap a sticker on it, you're done.
Well, no, that we were actually talking about that last night. I
Yeah,
actually
y'all were.
don't think it'll be released that quick. I mean, I know that they showed a very simplistic flight model of it in the model in game, but it's going to need textures, it's going to need animations, it's going to need all of its
So
rigging
when are we
hooked
going
up.
to see? So let me ask the dirty question then. When do you think we're going to see 2.5? Because it all hinges on how long 2.5 takes. We will probably, I'm guessing here, see the Dragonfly in 2.5 because I'm thinking 2.5 is going to take a bit. 2 months, three
But can
months,
I
maybe?
ask some, like, just because I've been a little bit out of the loop this last month and a half? Can I
Knock
ask
yourself out.
Can I, like, just for my benefit, what is going to be the big difference between 2.4 and 2.5?
I actually don't. I
Trash.
don't think. I don't think there's going to be a lot of feature benefits because I think the challenge that they're having right now is on the back end is performance,
Right.
um, and
Yeah.
they keep adding more cool stuff to the game, which keeps degrading the overall performance. So that's why they're talking about doing a lot of the behind the scenes, not super exciting, eye candy
Infrastructure.
changes.
Okay. So
Right.
so the next number of updates, 2.5, 2.6,
2.6.
and
Yeah.
2.7,
Now
are they
2.7 is going to be the big one. That's the one where we're going to see
what
a
what's so
bunch of
big
the.
about two? So
I
what's big about 2.7?
I think that's when we're going to be seeing what is
Proceed.
it, Grim Hex, the procedural stuff, and so on and so
Procedural
forth. Yeah.
generation.
So it's
Um,
and so 2.5, 2.6 is all about getting that background net coding and desync and all those issues kind of put away so that the servers can handle more objects in game. So that way,
Yeah.
when 2.7 comes and they drop all this big stuff, it doesn't just break the world.
well, I'm also thinking though that 2.5 is going to have a few ships released. I'm thinking
Well,
that the
sure.
Caterpillar is going to be hangar ready,
Which
so
one,
you'll be
sorry?
able to possibly. I'm thinking that the Caterpillar is going to be
Right.
hangar ready.
Hmm.
I'm thinking that the Reliant is going to be flyable. I'm hoping they can sneak it in and put the Herald in as a hangar model as well. But
That would be
there's
nice.
a lot going on.
Yeah, it would be nice if the Herald were in the hangar. Um, I
What,
don't
what
know
was the
what.
ship that
Good.
Sorry, what was the ship that won the next great
Redeemer.
starship?
Redeemer.
Redeemer. Yeah, I think by the time we've seen that, we already. I think we
Well,
we
that
really need to see that.
the
Like, I
Redeemer
think it's
was
Well,
great.
waiting
Like,
on the its original artist because its
love.
original artist came to work for CIG and
hmm
he was working
yeah,
on other ships. So when those other ships get finished, he gets to he that ship is waiting for him.
Yeah.
So he gets to work on his
right.
own
Uh,
ship.
Okay.
and I actually heard
It's
in
my own.
RP1, he is a member of RP1, the guy who
Oh,
made
he
the
is?
Redeemer, and he actually answered me. I was kind of a piss poor day. I actually just flat out asked the question,
Where the fuck
when
is
am I
it?
going to see? Well, is it like, are we going to see the Redeemer this year? Are we going to see the Redeemer flyable this year? And he told
I
me a
think it's
solid
my own.
2017.
Yeah,
He said a
2017.
solid,
Dollar 2017.
yeah, it's gonna be later, and he explained it to the point that I'm absolutely in love with the ship, and I can't wait to get my hands on it again. At the same time, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a wait
Good.
because they've got so much to do, and it is not a part of Squadron 42, which you got to
Ah,
understand.
right.
You got to
Yeah,
understand Squadron 42 is a precedence.
Well, and
yeah.
here's the thing too: is a lot of people who get up in arms about certain ships not being available yet, and I understand that. I mean, it's hard to buy a Banu merchantman
Those
and have
poor
have a
merchantmen.
a $250 picture on your
Oh,
account. You know, but at the end of the day, let's think about this: what kind of subsystems are going to be involved that make the Redeemer a worthwhile ship?
guns.
if those systems haven't been implemented in the game, do
There's
you
no
Just
need
really?
have.
for it.
Well, not just
Yeah.
that, but do you really want them to rush those systems and give
I
you,
Yeah.
you
just want
know,
to fly the damn thing. I don't
It's
care if I've
so.
got a pixie mock-up with
you
like no
know,
guns working.
I'm
Just
pretty
stick
sure.
it
I'm
in the
pretty
hangar.
sure.
Just at least stick it in the hangar.
Oh, it's in the hangar.
It's all good.
The
It's in the
Redeemer's
hangar.
in the hangar. It's just it's their original model. It's got some clipping
Yeah.
issues. It's got some.
It's like, I mean, you can say it doesn't matter, Vatron, but like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the ship. It's called the Cutlass.
Well, see, I actually
That
own
ship
that
went
Cutlass.
that ship went
I,
flyable, and
I
they told us when they first put in there, like, hey guys, this is not the flight model. This is just a temporary, completely. We just made it up just so you could play around with it. No functionality, just so you could fly it around. And then the community, like, the 2% that actually read, we're like,
damn.
oh, okay, that's cool. And then the other
And then everyone else
98%,
flubbed
you
off.
know, table flipped because they're like, this is dog shit, it doesn't work, and blah blah. It's like, whoa, it's not even in there to fly competitively. So get your, you know, panties out of the twist.
Well, I was actually I was in that Cutlass argument, and I still see a lot of utility for what it is. I mean, it has
Yeah, I like it.
cargo space. It has guns. It has
Well, yeah, but
it could be
they had to add. They ended up having to spend a bunch of time bringing it up to a
Buccaneer.
semi-flyable feed. You know, well, no, I'm not even talking about that argument. That argument, you know,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
actually separate.
Okay,
I
okay.
just mean that the flyable Cutlass still needed a whole bunch of stuff to make it halfway decent. And I mean, I guess it was all right because that let them figure out that it needed a rework. But at the same time, they would have had to have reworked it anyway. Anyways.
I think it's only like my own selfish expectations to what I want. But when you
Nobody's
actually
greedy.
yeah, but when you break it down, it's obvious. You know, it's like you say. You know, to have a ship, it has to have all these elements in place
Right.
for that ship to be
Yeah,
Uh,
because like
worthwhile.
that,
And it
like
makes sense. And then
the
and we have
strength.
Squadron 42 to think
Yeah,
about as well.
and the thing with the Redeemer is it's supposed to have those four shield generators. It's supposed to have really strong shielding.
yep.
So and it's got, you know, a big part of its bite is it's got double, you know, 2-man turrets, and then you've, you know, and so like, you know, there's turrets need to be, you know, made functional. The item
Ah,
2.0
you're
system
killing me.
needs to be fully, you know, a go, because that's definitely going to be a ship where managing all of its subcomponents is going to be about what makes it, you know, a strong ship.
It's a sexy beast though. I just want to be able to drive the damn thing around and crash into something. I'll be fine with that. You know, it's like, hey, check out this ship. Hey, check out this ship. Bam.
It's like, you know, give a, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like
I'm a simple
you
person.
give an
I
inch.
enjoy
You're a
some
man of simple
explosions.
pleasures.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
I
as they give
enjoy
us an
boom.
inch, as soon as they give us an inch, the community is going to demand a mile. So to
Well,
talk in
yeah,
that
yeah.
imperial measurement
Maybe you're
system that's so crappy.
right. I hate it when you're right.
Give a
Sometimes
man
you
a
know that.
millimeter, and he'll demand a meter.
Caterpillar, and Dragonfly launching. Go. So y'all think that's going to actually happen together? You think that the cat launch and Dragonfly is going to be a possible thing, or do
Maybe.
you? I'm thinking that that Dragonfly is a lot further along. I'm betting. I'm always thinking that they're showing us things that they did like last month. You know. And so when I
I actually disagree. My experience when I visited their studios and talked to them, like, you know, mano y
and this is
mano,
why I've been trying to
has
visit
been
the
that
studios.
for the large part they don't keep a lot back from us. I mean, and now that can be depressing or not, because you could they're the naysayers that are going to look at that and say, oh well, that's terrible because, you know, we haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
XYZ.
screw them.
Well,
I
it's
ain't
like
listening to them.
we don't get introduced to like some of the planning stage things because that's not relevant. But as far as the cool, pretty content that they can show us that is ready, they don't really hold it back if they can help it. So I think the Caterpillar is really close, um,
See,
but it's a big ship, so it's probably got a lot
So
more moving parts. The Dragonfly is probably not as close as we would like, but it's far enough along and it's such a small ship, and if it's using a lot of systems that are already in place, it will be easy to fast track so that it does release with the cat. So I think maybe we'll see those in 2.6,
so
maybe.
really quick question from a person who knows about a whole bunch of things. Traz, can I ask you a question?
Maybe. Sure.
Can I use the? I'm seriously asking this because it's one of our questions. Also, it is something that I have a great interest in. I want to do a small mining operation, and I wanted to know if I could use a herald as a basically a first sight system,
Early
basically
warning. Yeah.
yeah, early warning Ewoks. Um, I wanted to know if a herald could actually fulfill that function. Do you think so?
Well, I mean, I don't know, but I hope so. I imagine that of all the ships, the Herald will probably have one of the longest sensor ranges. Um, it's meant to listen, so it'll probably have um,
So you
I
mean it's used as an early warning ship, an early
amongst
warning
other things,
system?
sure. And
Right, to
I
bug
actually
out
hope
whenever shit's on the way.
I actually hope that down the road they will break down the emissions and detection systems into more granular detail. So when you fly a Herald, the kinds of server racks that you load in, the kinds of
Yeah.
those kinds of modular things, components that you equip on it will change whether you're using it as early warning or if you're using it as target acquisition or if you're using it as mid-range,
Well, yeah.
target identification or all of those kinds of things so that or maybe the Herald would be, because it's such a dedicated ship, it'll actually be able to do all of those functions. That's fine too. I just want to make sure, I just hope that those kinds of functionalities are divided up, so that like when you're flying a Hornet tracker, its systems are special for combat support, so close range, but it's not necessarily designed for basically it just every ship that has good sensors has good sensors. I mean, good sensors need to be broken down into, well, how is it
Well,
good? It's a long
so
range, or maybe it's got high resolution, or maybe it can fast track. It can track fast tracking targets to
I'm
assist
gonna
with missile, lock on, and so on
yeah,
and
I'm
so
gonna
forth.
take you a step further on that one. So let's go ahead and pretend that the tracker is an area sensor that allows for omnidirectional view of the battle space, whereas a herald is
Sure.
a pinpoint snipe is a conical sniper rifle of a beam that's scanning a section of space looking for something. That's the thing that I kind of fear for the herald because I wanted to actually, as much as I like being able to eavesdrop on something, at the same time, I don't have as much value in eavesdropping as I do actually having, area awareness. That's the thing that I
Well,
personally want
I don't
from it.
know. It really just depends. I mean, I hope
Depends
that
on
we
what type
see
of gameplay that you're looking for as
right.
well.
And hopefully those kinds of gameplay elements will be things that are divided up amongst the kind of equipment that you put on the Herald. So not every Herald is just does the same thing. It might be really well equipped to do a broad range of things, but I mean, and they do, because you got to consider they have to make roles in the game interesting and deep. The roles have to be deep enough that moving from a fighter pilot to a sensor tech on a Herald is going to give you just as much enjoyment and fulfillment playing in that role. Different challenges, different play styles. Maybe one's more action packed, one's more patience with little tidbits of action or whatever. But at the end of the day, they have to do that deeply because the game is not depending on the RPG level up mechanic to keep you addicted to coming back. So if a role is boring, people just won't do the
Well,
goddamn
they won't
role.
use it.
But
Then
you'll make
yeah.
but we learned about this the other day though. If a role is boring, and
Market
I believe
forces
that
will make it more profitable potentially
right, the
if it's
gray-headed
needed. Sure.
gamer was pinging that one up. So if the Herald is the most
Ah,
boring thing under the sun, then all of a
uh-huh.
sudden I found a way to make bank. Thank you.
Sure, sure.
And so let's for a second, me and WolfFire were shooting the shit on this one. Um, ground assault. Are we ever actually going to see? We're not talking Planet Side 2. We're talking more of a scaled down, but still, tanks.
Says you.
I don't want. I
Yeah.
don't necessarily want that. I mean, I like
Well, I
battle. I
don't.
like.
I mean, Planet Side 2 simulates a entire world that is, at war,
Yeah, it's
and I
it's
don't
more.
think that
Yeah.
we're aiming for that. But
Well, if it's not Starship Troopers, then fuck this game. That's
that's
all
right,
I'm.
table flip. Now, and when you say Starship Troopers, I'm assuming you're meaning like the book, where you jump in and you've got a suit that's got like mini nukes on the back and all kinds of crazy stuff.
That'd be fun,
not
wouldn't
not
it?
not that movie version where a bunch of grunts.
well, I mean, honestly though, the infantry needs support. I think
How
of when
honestly?
did you just say never mind? I'm not going to ask. So the infantry are always going to need somebody to back them up, and I always look at the Mustang Delta for ground assault vehicles. You know, aerial denial.
Yeah.
Uh, but what about an actual tank? What about an actual like Humvee? I understand we have Dragonflies and Rovers. How fast are these Rovers going to be? Can we put big guns on them?
Well,
These are the kind of questions that I like to ask.
they did talk about the speeds on the tentative speeds on the
Dragonfly.
Dragonfly, which were substantially slower than I was expecting. Like
That's
quantum,
space,
or
though. I thought
that's it's well, it's going to be slower in atmosphere. Um, I mean, if you're going to compare, vacuum to ground based atmospheric
well,
travel.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
I would expect the atmosphere to be even slower, but
right.
I mean, I'm
They're
just saying
talking
those
about
speeds
fast
are
acceleration, but like a top cruise speed of
300.
like 300. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Can I just add another caveat to that?
Yeah.
Like, the I'd be more interested when we get down the planet side. What interests me more than ground assault is aerial combat in atmosphere. That's
Yeah.
kind of something that I'd be very interested in. Is how ships react within an atmosphere and the mechanics and
Well,
that would actually go into that. Because there's one thing having this extremely complex system for these ships to work in space where there is no gravity, but I'd be very interested to see how all these ships would react once they're in an atmosphere and having that type of gameplay
right.
on a planet would be very very interesting for me.
The some I actually have some insight in that when we did the CIG tour down in Austin, we got to see like the sneak peek of the procedural generation and the planetary landing and stuff like that. And so the question was asked. It was like, so how now that we're going to be able to fly around planets and there's going to be atmosphere and gravity and things like that, are we going to see it? Are we going to see a reworking so that once you're around a planet, is there going to be a atmospheric flight model? Because obviously a lot of these ships are definitely not sexy aerodynamic for in flight. Would we see things like maybe the Gladius and the ships that do look more
Hell
like
yeah! It
planes?
just
Will they actually be more functional in
Hmm.
atmosphere so that you have basically
Yeah.
when you pick a spaceship, you're looking at not only how effective is it in space, but how effective is it
Mm.
in gravity if you're going to be using it, you know mix and match. Or maybe there will be ships that are amazing in atmosphere as far as
Mm.
their handling, and outperform all these spaceships when in atmosphere, but can't go to space, and so on and so forth. The so I mean, CIG is absolutely aware of that and would like that, but they early on, at least first iteration, I think the best that we're gonna see is
Hmm.
we're gonna see the addition of drag and grab
Right.
hmm
and extra pull on that. So
gravity.
basically you'll have a harder time pulling up than say diving while you're
Yeah.
in gravity. And they might be able to do like drag on your overall ship or something, like maybe changes to your acceleration, but
Yeah.
actual like where you bank and conservation of energy and all of that kind of stuff that you would see in a normal dedicated atmospheric model dogfighting game that's
Hmm.
going to take in aerodynamics, that we're probably not going to see for a while. Just like as much as we want orbits to work, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just, I mean, until they crack some other magic code, that's not even
Yeah.
on the menu.
Yeah.
While we're thinking about warfare and ground assault and all that, the reason why I brought it up was because sometimes infantry could be entrenched into an area that's too tight for the aircraft to get into that airspace. There's also anti-air to consider.
Right.
So that's the reason why you would push down those rovers. The dragonflies actually become a very viable thing then because
Yeah.
they're able to get in and get out and they're very
Right.
small. They're going down a narrow street. Um, the thing that I honestly would love to see that I know that isn't going to happen though, and I just want to mention this, is kinetic bombardment. I wish that we could just like push an asteroid into a space station and just watch the fireworks.
Well, and the thing is anytime you have something like that would one-sidedly change things, technologies are going to be developed to counter that. I mean, when you read other like hard
Dude,
like science
real life
fiction.
asteroids.
So it's just this notion of you on a planet side getting really, really high, going, dude, it'd be really cool if we get that like asteroid and just crash it into like the side of
Yeah, I
that
could
space
totally
station.
see that
Yeah,
though. I mean,
yeah, we can totally do that. We can do that. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that.
yeah, yeah, just it's like here, just a little nudge. That's all it needs. Just a little bump. There you go. It's off course. There it goes. Bam. It's
That would
like
be sweet. That would be very sweet.
somebody had made the comment to me a long time ago. It's like, do you think aliens will ever come down and visit us? No. It's like, and if they don't like us, all they got to do is push a rock on us.
Oh, for sure.
Splat.
Yeah,
I
this is
mean,
true.
I'm so, it's like we're
Well,
so hosed.
there just has
It,
to whatever systems you create for destruction, you have to build systems and or culture and or consequences that are steep enough that people have enough reason to pause and not just
Adrian Malik, international super terrorist. What did you do? I farted on an asteroid.
uh-huh. But right, I mean, there has to be ramifications for what you do, so it doesn't just become willy nilly. It has to make sense. I mean, it's like
Well, it would make sense. I mean, you just
it
go
would
and
be
shove an
funny.
asteroid down a kingship, and it's a done
Yeah.
deal. Go team. Good job.
right. So then
Sit
why
back and watch the
then
fireworks.
no then if that was a realistic danger, they just wouldn't build king ships. They would build smaller ships that
Yeah,
can
you're
dodge
right.
asteroids.
You're
So
right. You're right.
basically, it's cause and effect. You have to play. You have to if you're gonna launch that rabbit down the hole, you got to follow the rabbit all the way and work out all the cause effects and second and third order effects that would come
I
from that
understand
kind of
why.
gameplay or technology.
I understand why the whys and the why nots. It's just
Right, right.
it's a fun hypothetical for
Sure,
me.
sure.
So they got all their stuff on this one ship. So you're telling me that they put all their eggs in one basket, right? So we can't just like Nova cannon the shit out of that one, or and we're kind of doing that with the big ret, but never mind that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean,
the,
we have yet to see whether what is a threat to capitals. Or is it capitals that will kill capitals,
Mm.
or is it fighters that will kill capitals? Like, are do fighters take down the shield screens on capitals so that the other capitals or the bombers can get through? I mean, like, what is a threat to what? Paper rock scissors. What
Mm.
defeats what? And we don't
I'm
have
thinking
any of
that
that capital gameplay discussion. Just hasn't happened officially. I mean, we already see it a little
I
bit
would definitely
between.
hope it'd be more than just a capital ship to defeat another capital.
Right.
Like
Well,
I would
it's got. You want it
definitely
to
think for
be.
like exciting gameplay, you'd want a squadron to be able to take down a capital ship.
Well, I think
yeah.
I think that it would come down to you would want enough gameplay, of deep enough gameplay that requires enough coordination that it's that yeah. I mean, it's got to fit. It's got to feel right. It's got to be balanced and all of that. Because like even right now, if you take 5 players in 5 Hornets and you take 5 players in a single constellation, what do you think is better? Now, when long term, 5 players on a single multi crew ship should be the stronger option generally. I'm not saying 5 Hornets should probably definitely take a constellation even with 5 people, but I don't know. Like it's where do you put
So
the
how many
value?
people on a capital ship does it take to fully crew it to make it
37 on an
effective?
Idris,
TDM too damn many.
a lot. Like as
A
far as we know,
lot.
there are 37 crew positions on the Idris.
And then that would
Ay,
affect how
ay,
many
ay.
ships you could have attacking it. And
Maybe I mean right. We have a lot of limitations that are still on the engine side of things as
so
far
if
as
there's
like
37 in one ship, maybe you could only have
you know what.
7 more
Speaking of
ships.
which, what I want to see with 2.5 and 2.6. I'm hoping that they do get the
Idris.
back end stuff. No, no, no. Oh well, yeah, sure. But I mean, that's always a yes. Don't ask stupid questions. No, no. I want to
That ain't
see.
stupid.
I want to see. I want to see more players in the verse. I hope that that's
Hmm.
one of the things that they can add.
Out of interest, what would be your let's break it up. What would be your dream, and then what would be your expectations of how many people could play it in a single shard, in a
Oh,
single server?
well, I mean,
Dream.
right. I mean,
'Cause
well,
everyone's going to be different. Everyone's
well,
going to be different, and what
in
they think
512.
could.
in the near term, in the very near term, I would like to see, I don't know, let's say say 50 or more. Just I'd
Hmm.
like to see double at least what we have right now, just because in order to man an Idris, let's say, I mean, we know that in alpha days right now there are not enough people playing actively to until more features come in, etc., etc. The persistence is better. There's a meaningful reason to play beyond what it takes you to explore, buying some clothes and a couple of weapons, and running a couple of missions. Um, Once we get past that, I want to see enough players that you can actually have, one or two Idris in the universe manned by, say, a skeleton crew, but
Hmm.
you can have both of those in verse plus other people flying other ships without it being a dedicated server where it's just you log into a special arena commando mode where it's just ships
Yeah,
versus an Idris. And
it's
that,
an interesting problem. It's an
yeah,
interesting problem, and a lot of it, when we look at a lot of movies that we've all watched throughout our lives, it's when we see these space battles, they are hundreds and hundreds of ships,
oh right,
and then there is this idea: if it takes 37 people to man an Idris, then you only have six ships, that six more people in different ships that can actually attack the Idris without the server being filled up. Then does that mean that
So,
six ships going to destroy
so
an Idris, or does that mean that we're just going to have to wait until we have
I,
right,
a hundred people to the server? Or the point is that is our limitations of how many people we can have per server going to affect the gameplay and
right,
how the ships are um,
balanced,
I chalk it up to instancing.
balance. It's how the ships are going to be balanced against other ships because of the limitations of
sure.
servers.
And
So,
I think that's a fair worry too, because I think if we
Yeah.
balance a ship right now based on the gameplay of the people that are testing, that's not always accurate to what it's going to be like when you have a full universe with the million
uh,
plus players actually logged in and playing. At that point in time, the way ships balance out may be completely different. And if we like for instance, if you built the Idris where it just doesn't have a lot of heavy anti-fighter support or whatever, then all of a sudden there's 10 fighters with ships that are one third of the cost, and it's got one third of the players are able to take it down. Well, the Idris becomes useless. It becomes a flying coffin for anybody who would use it. So which means that's not going to work. It's
the
got to maintain its value. Therefore, it's going to have to be powerful and equivalent to its it's where it's
So
supposed to be.
it's so it's constantly going to have to evolve.
Yes.
So my worry is that if you have a fully crewed Idris, to me it doesn't seem fair that six ships could take that down. But
so
equally, it doesn't seem fair that you're unable to take it down. You're
um,
Right.
unable to take an Idris down if it is fully crewed. You know what I mean? It is this waiting game that we'll have to play until technology catches up, or we have some type of
Yeah.
uh, limitation, or we have some type of compromise we're going to have to make. To me
so
personally, my expectations of the game in 3 to 4 years is 70 to 80
Yeah. I like it.
players per
Yeah.
server.
thinking about the
My dream is obviously a lot more than that, but obviously technology and reality kind of breaks that very quickly. So
take a look at
um,
the Idris for a second and realize what it is. The reason why, if you take a look at some of the larger ships, use for example one of the larger ones that we know about, the Bengal carrier. You have a huge amount of people in a huge amount of places. We're looking at a ship that is multi-instanced for just being on the ship itself. So you could be on the ship, and if unless that person that you're buddy with is on your friends list, you're never going to see him walking down the hallway right beside you, even though there
Whoa,
are
whoa,
people
whoa.
walking down the hallway.
Where did they say it was going to be multi-instance within the ship?
Think
That's
about
new
it
to
like,
me.
well, think about it this way though. It's a crew of 200.
What? Wait, what ship are you
Okay,
talking? Are you talking about the Bengal?
the Bengal carrier. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about the Bengal carrier. I'm
You
looking
said
at larger
Idris.
ships. Yeah.
it has a
I
crew
don't
of
know that I
200.
did. Yes,
200.
that 200 to 300 live people, and I'm thinking there's a whole another host of like NPCs.
So there's
What
just
I'm
no
trying to
we. Go. Sorry. Go ahead.
what I'm trying to get at is that when you look at these ships, I'm thinking that everything is going to be based on one priority. Um, the second thing is going to be based on, are they on your friends list? Are they not on your friends list? You can go and walk down the same hallway, and there could be another person in the hallway, and you might not see them there because they're, even though they are in the
Yeah,
ship
on a
with
different
you, you will
server.
I
not.
see.
They're on a different server.
I don't know about that. I've never
That
heard of
happens all the time in Elite.
multi-instancing.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. Well, see, I haven't heard of the multi-instancing within a ship. They've talked about it like around asteroids and things like that, but they've also said that the way that would work is if when you approached an asteroid, and this is old, this is like years ago. Now with procedural generation in 64-bit, like what
Uh,
they do and how they break that down may change. I don't know. I don't know. I
well,
yeah.
where I
And
was trying to go with
yeah,
it was, I'm sorry, where I was trying to go with it is that if you're on a ship, you are inside of your own server instance. So taking the Idris for example, you are in an instance in and of itself. So whenever you're flying, the instance is separated from the outside world. So
sure.
you have other ships in a new instance that could be attacking you from the outside. So what you're seeing on the inside is the effects of, okay, so it hits you here on the left side. So the left side of the ship is going to light up and have its damage effects and states trigger off. It's a mind trick. Nobody's really fitting. They're not fitting an Idris in a whole bunch of small ships into a single instance. I'm thinking that they're going to fit an Idris when you're inside of it as an instance itself, and then everything is going to attack the instance basically, and you'd see the damage state from there. And that's where I'm looking at with the larger ships as well, the Javelin, the Bengal, and even the Retribution, is it's got to break down somewhere and at some level. And if you
But
don't
but
actually,
we yeah. But how does that work then? So if you're in one part of this ship, and the ship outside is attacking, but this ship outside that's attacking is in a different shard,
different,
it's in a different server, then then you
you'll
could be
still
having
be able to. So
yeah.
what they're representations, they're dummies, they're dummy mock-ups according to it. So what you're going to see, what you're not realizing what you're seeing is when you're in that little bitty fighter, you're looking at an Idris, correct? Well,
Mhm.
until a person actually EVAs out or actually has a cosmetic effect that allows him to get out of it, you're actually just seeing an empty Idris. You're seeing a hollow Idris floating around that has no assets, no people in it, and you're attacking it. So when you
Mhm.
blow the hull open, then all of a sudden it adds that room to it. Everything falls out of that room because of the vacuum, and it proceeds to go on through that means.
Right,
I don't
I
know
understand. Yeah.
the way they. I was always very concerned with the instancing system, just because I think a lot of us don't want instancing. Like it breaks down the immersion of the game. But when they talk about instancing, it's not implemented in the traditional way that everybody thinks of.
No, it's not.
It's some really really crazy Inception bullshit going on there, and yeah, I don't know. Like my worries were put to rest. I know that I think this goes along the way with what Neil was saying, what WolfFire was saying, is that we're still waiting on a lot of technological advancement. We're still waiting on
Yeah, yeah,
architecture and those kinds of things. As they come, those problems will get addressed. So
yeah.
it's not that they shouldn't be worried about or thought of as potential roadblocks down the road. It's just that we'll come to it when we come to it.
I
I'm
think people got
always
to understand sometimes that the game is butting up against the limitations of technology as it stands right now. Like ideally, we're all in the same boat. We would love to see an Idris filled to the brim with people. We'd love to see hundreds of ships surrounding it and more Idrises, and everything is on the same server, and it's complete chaos. But the reality is that we're not there yet. We're not there yet,
I
but we will get there. We will
well
get
then what I that's what I'm trying to figure out is maybe I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense to you, and so that's my great.
I understand what you're saying, but I can see a lot of problems with it. I honestly see there's a lot of problems with it, and like even playing Elite the way it is, there are times when I'm in a wing, and we're attacking a ship, but we're attacking different ships because we're on different servers,
And that's just, and how does that
and,
make any
there is
sense?
this.
Because
It,
you want all of
Well,
your efforts to be
yeah,
well,
working towards the same goal.
and there's this discord of what's happening with me and what's happening with them, and
Yeah.
I just think with all these people, on different shards. I just think it's gonna be it's
We
gonna be
just
difficult. Like
we
it's
just
not
need
impossible.
quantum computing and
Yeah.
a stronger global internet. Come on, that's all. No big deal.
I was just thinking that that's a possible way. Like if you were in a huge battle area, like for example, there's a massive war going on around you, you would actually have like maybe, oh boy, you might have damage states and different effects going on around you. You might actually be able to see mock-ups of the battles that are taking place around you, but you would not actually be able to see them until you got close enough. So basically, you're in your own instance bubble. So whenever you get enough distance to you, you can actually engage from there. I just actually spent a lot of time theory crafting it and trying to understand how the technology is possible.
See,
So
at that point, it really does get into the engineering side of things, and they're already working some wizardry that, like, it's like it's magic, it's magic.
well, but yeah, and that's the thing. This you're basically inside of an instance bubble
You
around you.
sacrifice the space goat, and the instancing works. Just don't rush
Boy.
it.
I
I'm not a techie guy. I'm really not. And I'm sure there's loads of people that would be like, it'll be fine, it'll work. You won't notice that you're in a different instant from everyone else, and it'll just look like a big massive battle, but it'll just work. So I'll just wait and see how it
Well,
works.
naturally, the solution to the elite thing that you were just mentioning
Hmm.
is that if you're in a wing,
Hmm.
you should automatically it should automatically group you like as an OU, as an active directory
Doesn't
organizational
necessarily
unit.
do that. It's just
Right, but it
we jump
should.
into a system and we attack a capital ship. There's so many people there that I'm there and I'm attacking the capital ship, but my other wingmates are in a different server and they're attacking a different. So what I have to do is I have to
Yeah.
log out of the game, log back in again, log out, log in, log out, log in, to eventually you get into the same server as them. It's a bit of kind of trial and error that
Well,
you
I
have to
mean,
use, and that's what I'm worried about as well for Star Citizen. It's like,
so
oh, like
with
these might.
SC, they have they're probably going to have some auto configurable formations.
Yeah.
So what you'll do is you'll go into a flight formation. Well, when you go into a flight formation, it also quietly triggers the fact that you are coordinating with this person as a group. And so whenever you go to engage something, you will be able to share targets from that stance.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I understand.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean,
I'm nerding out. I'm sorry.
theory crafting their behind the scenes tech stuff is really hard because I'm sure they're gonna look at it. They're gonna try a couple of different ways of implementation depending on what's feasible. Um, and the longer they put it off, the more options they'll have as far as feasibility. Because every day, the architecture for the internet is going to get stronger. Every day,
Yeah.
advancements on the server side of things is going to improve and so on and so forth. The more cleaned up the code and everything else, but anyways, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
I was going to say, guys, we've kind of chit chatted and gone on. Are we ready to move into some community questions?
See.
All right.
Yeah, do it.
Okay, so we got a couple of questions from the community. These were actually asked a couple of weeks ago, so sorry, community. We've just had some pre-recorded episodes and we just didn't get to it. But all right. So Curtis Hulbert asks, I have some questions for Station 42. How do you think Squadron 42 is going to fit into the persistent universe?
Neil, you want to try?
No.
Okay, I got my own answer, and Traz always has an answer too. So Traz, go ahead.
Sure. I mean, I think at the very simple level of what we've been told so far, I mean, Squadron 42, not looking at lore or current affairs, but it's gonna be like our prequel for our characters. So it'll be like our train up time, our extended learning curve, adjuster or whatever. And as you make choices within this game, it will determine kind of your starting loadout, so to speak. I hope. I mean, I'm hoping, and I'm hoping that.
But then, could you start the persistent universe without doing Squadron 42?
Yeah, they've always
Yes,
said
you
that.
can.
Like basically, you walk in like.
But are you going to be at a disadvantage for doing that then?
I think
maybe.
it'll be different. I don't know if disadvantage is the right way to determine it. I think there should be an advantage for finishing the single player campaign because you did extra work, so you should be paid in commiserate. However, define disadvantage. I mean, will you start with no ship? No, I think what happens is you would take out a loan from an NPC company, basically, with enough money to buy your starting ship, a starting Aurora, and and you've already got a preordained mission to make that money and pay it back, and so you're stuck kind of doing it that way, and then you can carry on. So that way you can just start straight into the world. If you already own ships, then you're
Uh,
at an advantage, so that's great. Um, but the advantage of sticking with Squadron 42 is the fact that you might come out with citizenship, which will have its own, but that's not even an
Park.
advantage either, because if you're going to play a neutral or you're going to play an outlaw, you may not want that UEE reputation. But of course, if you go through Squadron 42 and you play the anti-hero and you get yourself kicked out, you might start with negative reputation that'll actually with the UEE, but it'll benefit you if you want to turn to a life of crime. So, there's probably going to be dozens of ways to play through it, and each one will have different characteristics. And I think the idea is not to make playing the good guy or the bad guy or the neutral guy, any one of those, less um, lesser than the others. It's just that the advantage that you get for each will favor different play styles. So you just want to play the game the way you want to play the game. And it's not like, oh well, the best way to play it is to get this ending. There shouldn't be one ending that is better than any other ending, except for within uh, the relationship that ending has to the way that you enjoy playing the game or are going to play the game with that character.
The For me,
That's pretty.
basic the citizenship is what's going to be the thing. But also, they said that if you go through Squadron 42 just a partial ways, you get a certain amount of training. Now, let's put it this way: you're in when you start the game, you're going to be inside of a UEE recruiting station, and there's going to be the bathrooms and the mirrors and all that. We talked about how your character is created in the next of kin. What they haven't told you about, and I heard this recently, and I'm not sure where I heard it. I believe it was from a 10 for the chairman. What I had heard was, what I had heard was the. I've got so many distractions around me. The what I've heard about it was is that they were going to give you training, and that if you partially went through it and you decided I don't want to do Squadron 42 anymore, I want to go straight into the PU. Well, then all of a sudden you have a debt because you took the training, you took the classes of Station 42, but you did not actually see it all the way through. So you have a certain amount of time before you pay that off, and if you do not pay that off, you become a debtor, and you become an outlaw. So you have another way to actually get a kind of a jump start on being a criminal is you took the training and then then you bailed. You're a military deserter. Um, if you go through the entirety of Station 42, then you might come out with the good guy status or bad guy, depending on your choices that you made. You're probably going to have some. It's going to tie into your reputation. If you go through and you kill every single Tavaran along the way in Station 42 or Squadron 42, it probably will, the Tavaran are probably going to know of that and absolutely hate you. There's a lot of reputation
I
involved in
think
that.
like also because the game is developing a very kind of complicated and very developed lore to it, and I think in terms of getting to understand the game a lot better, that doing Squadron 42 would give you a better knowledge
Yeah,
of the game rather
certainly.
than just jumping into the persistent universe. I have no idea what this planet is. I don't know its history. I don't know what this alien creature is. I don't know anything. I'll just keep on playing. I think Squadron 42 it will give you that base knowledge, and better understanding of what it is that you're getting yourself into, what you're playing,
Give
which
that
I think
buffer.
is give that buffer. Yeah.
The second question that we've got, Steve Childs asked, thoughts on Dumper Depot is going to be present, the ship parts, the website integration, or that section. Basically, how is it going to present the Dumpers Depot? Are you going to be able to look across and look on a warehouse and actually interact with that, or is it going to be something from as soon as you enter it, can you look it up on the Moby Glass? So how are they going to utilize Dumpers Depot to actually buy and purchase? So what I always seen is to when you're looking to buy, you might have like say a kiosk or a panel, and it would say that basically if you want to purchase something, you purchase it here. And what happens is that it actually looks on the shelf. It zooms into the shelf and puts a square bracket on a mobiGlas around it, and it says this is the part that we have on stock here on this shelf. And then as you go maybe left or right or cycle through, then it actually keeps it'll go to the next part on the shelf, next part on the shelf, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think they've talked about doing the kiosk thing for a lot of the subcomponents, so you can order that way, and I think that's cool. I'm hoping that Dumpers Depot will act more like when you're shopping, like almost like garage sailing. When you go to the Dumpers Depot, that'll be the place where instead of it being a kiosk scenario, you actually walk in and you actually have to walk around the shop, and the items that are on the shelves or that are tossed on the floor or hung up with, or the engines that are hung up on chains or whatever, will actually be generated real time based on economic input, and
That's kind
or
of how
luck,
I
or
is
yeah,
looking at it as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's the bargain bin where you never know what you're going to find, so you always got
Right.
to go and look, and you actually have to walk around and look because the different components. And the cool thing about that is a lot of those subcomponents, all their geometry and their textures are all planned out and made. And then what do? We stick them inside of a spaceship and we never see it because it's just a name on a dot inside on the interior of a ship. So this gives us a chance to actually visually see the cool engine or the cool coolers, or to you're walking around and you recognize that one awesome cooler that happens to be sitting behind some trash in a corner at Dumpers Depot, and you're like, oh my god, I've been looking for this forever, and it's at half price with a little bit
I
of
really do like
repair.
the idea of
Oh
actually having
yeah,
to sift through it and look for it,
right, right.
like it was some
Makes
like
sense.
That could be
it's
another role in the
futuristic
verse
garbage.
is
Yeah,
treasure
exactly.
hunting and
Thrift
reselling.
shopping,
Yeah, absolutely. What's that American program where they have like
eBay.
uh,
No.
no, the TV show where they have like locked up storage wars. Storage wars. Have you
Ah,
seen that? Yeah, it's kind of like that. You know what I mean?
right.
Where
Yeah,
just
no, that
like
would be
all these.
amazing. Right,
Yeah.
you repossess somebody's hangar and get
Damn. Damn.
Everybody kind of turns up and you start bidding over
Start
boxes.
Oh my
selling them.
god! The first time I find a repossessed hangar that has a golden ticket, man, I'll be like, oh, I'm on it.
Yeah, you and me both. All
Yeah,
right.
I think, yeah, just quickly say, I think if it was some type of um just some cop out like HoloLens type of thing, that would be really disappointing. I really like the idea of it constantly changing as things come in and there be real components. It's like you say,
Right.
Traz, is that all these intricate things are inside these ships and we never see them, but they are designed, and that we have this
Yeah,
opportunity
I
to
know.
actually
I wanna see it.
sift through them, and and examine them. That's kind of what you would want, definitely.
I can't wait till we can have that kind of stuff piled up around our hangars.
Yeah,
And
just
that's
like
the thing
probably
is,
junk. Just be hoarders. Just be complete hoarders.
Damn.
and
I'm
that's
already I'm already one of those.
the thing too is like right now the item port system is great for working on ships and things like that, but I am not in love with the item port system and all the work that they have to do to allow us to move and place things in the hangar. The stuff that gets placed in the hangar
Mm,
needs to be a lot more like Fallout 4, where you pull it up on your holo table, you push it around, and you can position it, you can rotate it, and things like that. Instead of having just slots where it goes in. But I understand that the reason they're doing it is because that it's just the way that they can do it right now. I just hope I hope that's not the final direction
I
for it.
don't think so. I think that that's just the first iteration, that'll be the base platform, and then
Yeah.
you will be able to. I could totally see a web interface that would allow you to go in and customize your hanger from a website, so it would be able to preload that template into the server too. I think that
Maybe.
they're going to go for ease of use on one side, and then on the other side of the fence, they're going to go for complete and utter customization on the other.
Right,
So
because
if a
it has to track all of the
yeah,
XYZ location and facing data for all that stuff, and it has
yeah,
to be able to stream that to any other people that you would have join your thing. So, if you have a super customized hangar and you have like 20 people joining, all of that data is going to have to get uploaded and then downloaded to all of those people so that when they load in, it shows, the same thing that you're seeing is what they're seeing. So,
Yeah, I'm thinking that
anyways,
there's going to be a direct approach. Like, I'm thinking that the hollow table is not dead, and I'm thinking that they're probably going to make for the hangar itself. They're probably going to do a similar interface that allows you to actually just have like a map field of view. Whenever we get the room system set up, we're probably
maybe.
going to see that happen too. Some.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, of course, and that's all later on. So I'm not too worried about it. I just, it's one of those things.
Next question.
All right. So
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
the third community question we have from a couple weeks ago was by Nick Lapidus. He asks, he asks, when will the Banner Merchantmen be holo table ready?
When they're absolutely 100% confirmed that this is the shape that we want to go with.
Bruh, Star Citizen is a scam.
Uh, Here we go. No,
no,
in all
no.
seriously,
It's
you know the answer. I know the
it's
answer.
it's a fair question. I think that here's the deal. We want the abandoned merchantman holotable ready. Sure, that's nice, but even though it would be great to have that, I think that the Banu is one of those ships that has it needs the style guide. It needs game mechanics that haven't even really been touched on yet, um, and because it's not a priority for Squadron 42, I know it's gotten pushed to the back, and I was like, well, a lot of us want to see. Well, why can't we just see a bit of the 3D modeling and stuff done? At the very least, the thing
Mm,
is that 3D modeling doesn't do anything for the final end product of it being ready, but working on the 3D modeling now would just cause more problems later because then
yeah,
it'll be locked
You'll have to
into
keep changing it. Mm.
right. So
Yeah.
it's just better. And if I don't know if people have noticed, but nowadays when they bring a ship to concept, it's got a lot of the modeling already knocked
already
out.
done.
They've
Yes,
already made sure that it's going to be a lot more functional. That ship pipeline has gotten a lot more improved. So basically, you just don't put something in the pipeline until you're ready to carry it all the way through completion or
and
close.
they've got to make
So
sure that culture model for the style guide. I mean, you're not just doing a brand; you're doing an entire race.
yes,
So who's to say there's not different brands within that race?
right.
There's a whole lot more work to building a culture in a race than there is to building just a brand. So I want them to take their time, and I want that Banu to feel
Alien.
completely different,
Yeah, yeah. No,
different
so I
mentality.
mean, the Banu Merchantman is one of my absolute favorite ships, but because of that, as much as I want it, I want them to
It
take
means
as
you're happy
long
to
as
wait for
possible.
it. Yeah.
Right, because if they rush it, we're going to be very unhappy. I mean, look at what happened when,
I,
they
I
just moved forward with ships like, the Constellation's been reworked many different times.
Yeah.
The
the Cutlass.
the Cutlass, and that's the thing too, is every time you look at a newer ship, like I don't know, if you haven't been following the game since the beginning, you may not have the same perspective, but the perspective that I have is every time they release a new ship, uh, a new ship iteration or a new manufacturer, the ships make all the older ships look like poop.
Yes,
I mean,
and
like,
that's the case. The
like,
300
like,
series, the
look at
300 series,
the
the
Mustang.
Hornets.
The Mustang Beta comes out, and we're like, oh my god, this ship is better than every other ship before because it.
Right,
Oh,
right. And
anyway,
well, you're also competing with the older and newer tech. I mean, you
the
look at
Retaliator was another one.
the original Bengal carrier Hornet flyby. If you look at the nose, there's like these two fans that look like they came out of your PC, and I always notice those
They
sitting there.
did.
And now it looks like a completely different ship. I was watching you fly around in your Ghost the other day, and I'm like, that's what the Hornet Ghost looks like now.
Yeah,
I think they
it's
upped it.
oh yeah.
It looks a lot better than what I remembered it because,
They did some tweaks to it. I'm super
and
excited for the F7A pass, the NPC version, the military version of the Hornet.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, oh,
But I honestly I want to see something inside of the Banner Merchantman that actually makes me do a double take. I want to see like a toilet with two bowls. I want to see I'm like, it makes you like do like, what the hell is this?
Just
How
some
did
just some
you
alien porn
know?
magazines lying in the double bowl toilets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there you go.
like
Yeah,
some random
yeah. I
some
really want to
random
see some weird
like
shit.
lounging pools that like wet rooms where they're like
Yeah.
wallpaper.
Why do you have a jacuzzi in the middle of your assault
but it's more like a
area?
gelatinous wall
That's how they do
Yeah,
wall
yeah.
business.
jacuzzi.
That's how they do business. There's no business done outside the jacuzzi.
That's
Well, no,
right.
but see, that's the thing
It's
about it. It's a damn
business.
barracks. Why do
It's
you have a jacuzzi?
business time.
And then you come to find out it has a completely different purpose, and you've been like sitting in like a septic sewage where like they do a communal piss before battle or something. You
You
know,
have to drink it, and it's
It's
really
yeah, no,
disrespectful if
it's
you
like
don't drink it.
yeah, it's like 13th Warrior. You know, they all hop the
yeah,
loogie
yeah.
in the bowl and pass and rub their face in it.
There you go. Yeah, it is like so you're sitting there like swimming, and then you're not even aware of what it is. I mean, I really want to see some abstract, like off the wall, something that you would never think about. So I really, really want them to go slow on that shit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I want them to make it uncomfortable for humans to do business in that shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want them to
Awkward.
maybe not
Wait,
so much that, but like,
why are we all pantsless? Because this is how the Jean do business.
This is how we do
not,
business.
We do not wear
we
pants.
shake each
That is
other's
offensive.
testicles. That's what.
Yeah, we lock testicles together. And if
Yeah.
you don't,
If you don't
it's a sign
touch
of
tips,
disrespect. If you don't,
if you don't touch tips, it's no deal. No
That's
deal.
oh
no.
man, that's the way they shake hands in that culture. There you go.
Wow.
This sword fight.
No one likes. No wonder no one likes. Jeez.
Well, and I can see why the Vandal like him though pretty well.
All right. So all right. So that was the total of our community questions from a couple weeks back. Sadly enough, I did not do my due diligence and ask the community this week, so I got nothing fresh. But at least I finally answered.
You were drunk
our
and
other...
tired. We'll forgive
Hey,
you.
hey.
Hey.
All right. Well, let's get into some of Mr. WolfFire
Hey, I got
here.
you.
Let's ask some questions of him.
So, 60
Go on.
swinging minutes. Here we go. So, tell us about the Twin Galaxies Arcade. Is that a personal project, something that you intend to bring to Star Citizen, or does it relate in some other way?
No, I think initially it's just a Facebook group for me and my friends that I set up, and I have to be very kind of uh, um, honest here, and it's very much a stolen thing from a film that I watched called Twin Galaxies Arcade, which is a documentary about a very famous arcade that was back in the 1980s.
Nice.
Called Twin Galaxies Arcade, which is a fantastic documentary. I thoroughly recommend it. And all these people used to come together, and they used to like compete against Pong and Pac-Man and
Yeah.
what was Donkey Kong and things like that. It was
I
real
love that
hardcore.
game.
Real hardcore competitors back in the day used to come to this tiny little shack, and it was called Twin Galaxies Arcade, and they used to like really seriously compete against each other, and it was amazing. And I always loved that name, so it always stuck with me. Twin Galaxies Arcade. So I just named my Facebook group after it.
No,
So
that's awesome. That's like the total gamer reference. I mean, that's the same thing with our Facebook group.
And people do get it. People are like, oh, is that from the famous Twin Galaxies Arcade gaming back in the 1980s? Like, yeah. I was like, oh yeah. So it's kind of from there. It's it is just a Facebook group for me.
Hey, that's how the original Star Citizen one started out for me as well.
Yeah, maybe
I wanted a non-official home for friends and other gamers to come and talk without like feeling like they had to obey or anything like that. Not that I was ever particularly strong arming people's opinions or anything, but like I just I figured like it would be good to see what people had to say completely outside of that environment.
We wanted a place to bitch about DS in our own place.
Yeah, because the thing is, a lot of my friends they play a lot of different things. Like they play like I'd be the most biggest Star Citizen advocate in my group, but I've kind of got a lot of people onto it. Like my brother is now a big Star Citizen guy.
Nice.
So it was a platform for me to keep in contact with him and just annoy him as much as possible by sending him Star Citizen videos. So eventually, I just wore him down. I wore him down and broke him. You know,
You gotta try
eventually.
this. You gotta try this. You gotta try this. Hey, how's your
Gotta
wife?
try
You
it.
gotta try this.
Selling
I know,
selling
yeah.
that crack.
It's like Neil, can I borrow some money? Fuck you, try this. You gotta try this. You know, it's like Neil,
Yeah.
my girlfriend broke up with me. Fuck your girlfriend. You gotta play Star Citizen. You know?
Yeah.
A man after my own heart. Good job. I'm so
Man.
sad.
Yeah.
I'm so sad I didn't get to we didn't get to hang out when I was in because I get to visit Scotland for a tiny little bit. I drove through down from the where the ferry comes in from Ireland, and
Yeah.
and then we drove all the way down to Manchester to. Well, we actually drove down through
All right.
the
So you
the
would
hill
have
country.
coming into where did you come into? Did you come into Stranraer? To Stranraer in Scotland, and then from there to Manchester. I guess you might not remember.
I don't remember the name, but I knew we drove down along the coast and then dropped into the North Hill country, and we spent a few days there, and then went down to Manchester. So it was just absolutely gorgeous. But that whole trip was just amazing. So, anyways,
yeah, it's good country. I'm not actually Scottish. I grew up in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
So I'm from there, and then I moved over here
Super
about
beautiful.
15 years ago to study at university. So, and I've been here ever since. I've just graduated and lived, and I've settled down in good old Edinburgh here in Scotland.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
I really enjoyed Northern Ireland was just gorgeous. We stayed.
So where did you go?
Well, we flew into Dublin. We flew into Dublin in Ireland. We did a week there. Then we drove down to Cork.
Do the Guinness tour. You have to do the Guinness tour. You have to do the.
You did.
If you were watching me on the stream last night, I was drinking from a Guinness glass that has Traz Ion engraved in it from the Guinness factory.
Oh, you got it from the factory. Nice.
Nerds. No. So we went down to Cork, visited some other Star Citizens down there, some really good friends, and then we came back up. Then we drove up through to Northern Ireland, and we stayed at the Leslie Estate, which is like a castle out there. Then we went far up to the Giant's Causeway, and we stayed at a little town outside of there at a little historic mill, and that was awesome.
Well, my parents, I grew up about 30 minutes from Giant's Causeway, so that's awesome. My part of the world you were at there in Giant's Causeway. I grew up in a very small town, just 30 minutes from there. So that was my old stomping ground. So
we did some. We were walking. We went on a walk out of this little village, and we're following this trail, and we crossed a river, and there was a bridge with an old railroad track, and there's people walking with dogs. And apparently, when you live in Northern Ireland, they issue you 2 dogs. Like to live there, it's part of the rules. They issue you 2 dogs.
It's not that they issue you 2 dogs. It's that you have to leave if you don't have 2 dogs. That's it. They throw you out. Yeah, there's something wrong with you.
Stoning involved. Yeah. Yes.
Oh yeah, there is. There basically is. It's just like you're just not. There's something just fundamentally wrong with you if you don't have at least 2 dogs.
Minimum.
Something went wrong, you know.
Yeah. And so we didn't know where we were going. We're just running this trail, and so we're jogging along this trail, and then I see a little sand dune, and I run up to the top of the sand dune off the side of the trail, and all of a sudden there's the ocean. Didn't hear it, didn't smell it. It was just I jumped up off the trail, and all of a sudden there was this giant coastline, and I'm like, oh my god. It was amazing. It was so beautiful.
It's a beautiful part of the world.
Oh yeah. I just can I go back? I want to go back.
Yeah, of course. Come by anytime you want. Absolutely. If you're ever in Edinburgh, if you ever visit Edinburgh, always give me a shot. I'll show you the town.
Definitely. Like if the girl and I make it back out to the UK and get to visit all the different places, that would be fantastic. Because I think we spent the most of our time we spent in Ireland and Northern Ireland. And then we spent a few days, because when we went through Scotland, it was just a drive-through. We stopped for lunch.
Yeah, obviously, because you were on your way to Manchester.
Right. And we spent a few days in the hill country north of Manchester, and then a few days, of course, in Manchester. So I mean, it was it was, and then of course Star Citizen took up all of our time while we were there,
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm rambling. So living in Scotland,
Yeah.
what is being a gamer like for you there? Is it, I mean, is gaming culture just as much as it is anywhere else in the world? Is
Oh
it
yeah,
less
absolutely.
prevalent?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Gaming culture is huge everywhere. But yeah, there's a big gaming community here, so it's really good. And we just actually quite recently just had, in terms of America, it's really really small. But we just had our second Comic Con here
Awesome.
on the summer, and I've never had more fun in my whole fucking life than I did in those 2 days at that Comic Con. I had so much
Nice.
fun, and a lot of the guys that I know that in the gaming community that live in Edinburgh, but everyone was there, and we met so many new people, and it was awesome. And I think it really kind of made me realize how many people there are in Scotland that are really into comic books, really into movies, really into games,
Nice.
and yeah, and it really kind of made me it made me very aware that like there's such a fantastic community here, and it was really good. So yeah, there is a strong community here, but obviously not on the scales of, like, Edinburgh is a very small city in
Sure,
comparison to the
sure.
cities of the world. It is tiny, but it is there's still a good community here, and I have loads of friends here that and I worked a little while in the gaming industry here as well, just
Really?
as a part-time. Yeah, well, when I was at university here, my part-time job was working for Rockstar North, because I don't know if you guys
Ah,
know, Grand Theft Auto is made here in Edinburgh. It's made in Rockstar North.
I did
So
not know that.
they have their studios on Leith Walk, which is literally 10 minutes from my house, and that's where they make Grand Theft Auto. So
Freaking awesome.
I had a part-time job as a games tester, so I'd go in there and games test their games. So,
Nice, nice.
I think the term was focus tester, which is kind of like the one below games. Like, games tester is actually a really tough job. If anybody's actually ever done games testing, it's
I can
extremely
imagine.
hard. Focus testing is just a bullshit job where you literally have to go in and play a 99.9% complete game, and then you have to write an essay once a day and tell your thoughts and any bugs you find, and that was it. It was,
Huh.
and somehow they pay you for it. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous.
Nice.
It was the most non-job I've ever had in my
Oh, I'm
entire
gonna
life.
have to contact CIG and see if I can do
Yeah.
that remotely from home.
Yeah, sign
So
up
yeah,
for me.
I met a
So,
lot of friends.
I would
I met a lot
really
of
like to be
friends
a
through that.
focus tester for you guys. I'm
A
just gonna
focus
put that
tester,
out
yeah.
there. Work from
It
home.
really is.
I'll provide the
Oh, it
hardware.
was. Oh yeah, and then the facility was full of vending machines. I was under very strict instructions not to talk about anything I seen
Right.
was in there, But like, I didn't care about that. The only thing I cared about is that they had a canteen and everything was free. Everything was free, and they had a menu, and you just picked from them a menu, and all their vending machines were free. And I just kept.
Well,
I must have drank about 50 cans of Coke a day, just pressing the Coke button, emptying out the Coke machine, and it had this big pyramid, pyramid of
That's
empty Coke
terrible.
cans. Oh my God, I got so fat. I got so fat. It was amazing.
that's how they keep you there.
Yeah, so like, so I, like, I've always been kind of into games. My main background of what interests me in video games has always been RPG. That's always
Yeah,
kind of been
yeah.
my interest in video games has been RPG, and I
Now,
don't really
now,
come.
is it the game and the game mechanic, or do you actually like? Is it the character? Are you a character-driven player? Are you a role player? Have you ever played RPGs that are MMO styles where, like, you have your cast of characters and you play from the personality or perspective of the character, or is it just about the game, just the environment as
I,
far as
I've
like?
I've dabbled. I did play World of Warcraft for a
Uh
few
huh.
years,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I did do the whole role play thing. Um,
Well, not everybody does. I mean, you can play those
yeah,
games and just hack and
I
slash, rate it,
yeah.
but yeah,
Personally, I've always found it difficult just for my life to give a game like that a lot of time,
sure.
because I always find myself, I have 20 different things that I do
Uh
in
huh.
my
Uh huh.
life that I always find it really difficult for role playing for me,
Sure.
because when I was playing World of Warcraft, it was at least 5 6 hour sessions every single
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I loved about it. But the older I've become, I'm 37 now. The harder
Nice.
that is to sustain, and you guys know as well as
Yeah, yeah.
everybody else in the world know. The older you get,
I
the more.
turned 40 earlier this month, so I'm feeling it.
Ah, yeah. But you know how it is. Like
Yep.
responsibilities get annoying. You have to get these ridiculous things called jobs and mortgages
I
and all the rest of
know.
it.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I
So
spend more
I've
time talking
yeah.
about games than I do playing anymore. It sucks. All
So
these
yeah.
young
So
whippersnappers with all their flight time. Bastards.
on so I do play a lot more kind of character driven games. Like I've
Nice.
always been a huge fan of the Elder Scroll games.
Yep. Yep.
That's kind of like was kind of what I was interested in Star Citizen to begin with, was that idea of becoming this character that I could invent myself, and then I could
Right.
just pick a direction and pick a role that I want to play and just go in that direction,
Yeah.
and then just see where the world takes me from there on. And that's what I loved about Elder Scroll games and the Fallout games, and I could see how I could bring that over to Star Citizen. And I've always been like really into my PC as well. I've always been like I have to have like the best screen and I have to have the latest graphics card. And the biggest problem I've had with PC games this last coming years is that there's so many ports from consoles to like PCs. There's so many games that are multi-platform.
Right.
There's very little PC exclusive games, and the type of PC exclusive games are games that I've never really been into, like the Warhammer games and
Right.
games like that. It's not really been my thing. Like I've always
There's
been
nothing
into
that
like
actually sets them apart
there's
from
nothing
other
that
new.
absolutely
Yeah.
pushes it to like this is PC, this is not capable of anything else. And then Star Citizen came along, was like this is the RPG game I've always been waiting for.
Right.
It's the game where that pushes any PC to its breaking point and then some, and then it asks, and that's what I loved. I
Yeah.
loved the game that I could say, "Look at that! You will never get that on a console. This this is what
Ow. Master
this
race.
is what PCs are made for."
Right.
And
Yeah.
there's that one aspect of it, but this is the role playing game I've
Yeah.
been waiting for, and
It
I think
it's interesting too
you
because
know,
I that's basically the biggest call for me. Like I'm good at the dogfighting and I like that, but the biggest thing for me is exactly what you're talking about, is the role element, the getting the having the character that can be anything, do anything, and just go. The hardest thing for me originally was that I've always been a fan of the fantasy genre, and I love the
hmm
sci-fi. I play a lot of games that are sci-fi related, but none of them have ever tried to tackle what it is to be in that universe. I mean, the Mass Effects and the games like that, where they uh, turned turned sci-fi into an RPG, were okay. But at the end of the day, I got bored with Mass Effect because really all it
hmm
was a really easy shooter. It was an easy
yeah,
shooter with a good story, and I like the story. And I mean, I like managing some of the the logistics of the game, and that's fun. But at the end of the day, you can't, it's not really very open world. And I want to be able to play different character classes, whether those classes are predefined for me or like Star Citizen, where there's going to be roles you can do and you define yourself. So
Mass Effect's always
yeah,
been very clever like that. It
yeah,
feels like this huge universe, but it's actually a garden path game.
right, right,
And I played all the Mass Effect, and I love it, just like you say, just for the story. But it is a garden path that leads you down.
oh yeah.
So yeah, it is always better to find a direction and just walk that direction and see where the world takes you.
Yep.
That's what's a lot more interesting to me.
So what are you playing right now mostly?
So I've actually reinstalled Skyrim at the minute. So I've been so at the minute I've reinstalled that. I've broken it at least 15 times this last week by
I
doing mods.
the last
I have. Sorry, go ahead. What
no,
were you
no,
saying?
I was just saying, like, the last time I got a bug up my butt to replay Skyrim, I had like 144 mods installed, and then like
Yeah.
and then I played it with the girl for like a couple of hours, and I was like, okay, I'm bored, because I love how beautiful it is, and I love what it is, but like the Skyrim like combat mechanics and stuff just piss me off. I'm like, this is weak sauce.
I love it. I love Skyrim, but
I
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I'm on 87 mods plus now at the minute. But you can't
I
change
find it.
some core mechanics. The core mechanics are unchangeable in the game,
I,
in my
I
Yeah.
opinion.
I look at that and I feel that it's very. I love the game, and but I feel that it's too easy to become overpowered in it.
Yeah.
You just as you play, if you're careful about it, in the hardest
Mm.
difficulty, you're still going to become very incredibly overpowered. And so
It's the learning the curve in that game is always been really whack. It's always when you start off, it punishes you terribly for
oh
trying to pick
yeah,
areas that are too hard, and then at least halfway through the game, it becomes
you're
just
legendary.
it
Right.
becomes a chore, and then you're playing it to just discover stuff rather than to be challenged by
Right. Right.
anything in the game.
Pretty
Um,
much. That was
I
my
think,
experience. Like I was
but I
having a good
love
time
it.
with it.
I absolutely
Yeah.
love it, and I've basically I've been trying. Like again, this all comes back to Star Citizen. Is that my biggest problem with Elder Scrolls game and any type of RPG game is that it's not a fault of the game, is that it can be quite a lonely experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're doing this by yourself. You play these games by yourself. You're on this big great adventure, but like you're always
That
by
you want to
yourself.
share.
You
Right.
want to share it, absolutely. Like even like you read books about great adventures, there's groups of people that go out in this big adventure. There's Lord of the Rings, or it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's you and your friends are out in adventure, and unfortunately all these games don't have that. They don't have that group experience. So Star Citizen is that game that will provide me with that, and that's why I jumped on any type of game that could give me that experience. Like recently I tried uh what was it? It was terrible. It was actually awful.
Uh,
Um, um Everyone said it was going to be fantastic. When you think of a game and then you just can't
Dark
remember the
Souls.
name. No, it was a multiplayer game. It was set in post-apocalyptic New York City.
Oh,
Um, what was it called?
the division.
The Division. That's it. Yeah. So I got that, and me and my friends played it. I was bored out of my mind within a week. It was so boring, and
Because it's another one of those games where you're like constantly just trying to level up your shooting skill or something, right?
well, this is it. This is that little kind of part of my brain was like, oh, this is it. This is the RPG elements. This is the open world elements. This is me and
Right.
my friends elements going on an adventure. This is what I need. This is before start. This is what Star Citizen is going to give me, but not quite yet. So maybe we can do this for the next couple of years.
Right.
But it
Right.
just didn't deliver. It didn't deliver, and that's what I'm always hunting for. I'm always hunting for.
Yeah, and that's very accurate. Like I spent so much money on that dream, and then it didn't pay out. It was like that with MechWarrior Online for me, Planet
Hmm.
Side 2, Terra,
Yeah.
just and
Yeah,
I almost didn't back Star Citizen because I was so
Yeah.
disenfranchised, and
you struggle to find that connection. You want to have that
Yeah.
thing that says, "I want to come home and play this. I don't want
right,
to."
Yeah.
right. Anyhow, so now you're a longtime backer, but you
Yeah.
have no
Well, no,
organizations to
I'm not
speak
a
of.
very long.
So
No,
what's
this is it. I don't have any organizations.
have
I'm
you
still on the market.
always eschewed organizations, or did you join organizations and then find that it didn't work out, and so you're reinventing yourself?
Or do you plan on world dominance?
So I went
Gotta ask.
fishing, and I basically I love the idea of organizations in
Sure.
Star
Yeah.
Citizen.
Yeah.
I think absolutely fantastic. I think there's something like that really sets it above other games. It is these amazing organizations that are out there, but there's so many of them. There are so many of them that I
Oh
worry
yeah.
sometimes if I join one, I'm just going to be cannon fodder to a lot of these
Right.
organizations. So I'm still on the fence. I'm really still on the fence, and the reason why I'm still on the fence is because I really haven't decided what type of playstyle I want for Star
Yep.
Citizen.
You want to kill everybody.
Um,
Let's go ahead and do that. Okay.
well, Well, I know what I am when I play Elite. I'm a smuggler. That's what I love doing. I'm a smuggler. So I don't
God, I
necessarily
can't
want to
wait
do
to
the
do
same
it.
again for Star Citizen. I
Yeah.
do like the idea of maybe trying something different. And I think until I decide what it is that I want to do in Star Citizen, that'll probably affect what organization. And it also goes with the group of guys that I want to play Star Citizen with on a
Yeah.
regular basis. My brother and a couple of my friends, we're going to be the core team of guys off on an adventure, and it'll be kind of what do we want to do? I think ideally at the minute we're kind of leaning towards more exploration than any type of pirate. We like the idea of going out and investigating strange worlds, playing our little Star Trek fantasies, I guess. Maybe
No,
being being the
you
good
can
being the
always
good guy,
look.
being the good guys, but hopefully sleeping with a couple of aliens as we go.
Uh,
Hey, yeah.
well, see, that's the thing. I see pirates can be explorers too. We explore very, very big cargo hulls.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, there you go. See, um, well, okay. So you said that you have some friends and family. You just have you made strides to get other people on here, or have you just kind of, you know, do you hide it from your family, or have they beaten you down that
Oh
much, or
God, no. Oh God, no. I've got like 3 Star Citizen T-shirts that I wear. Like, there's no
Nice.
escape from it. There's no escape. And,
You
I
will
think my
join.
brother was I think my brother's a lot younger than me. He's only 20 years old, so
Uh-huh.
he hasn't grown up with games the way I has. He's just been like a COD boy. But
Right,
he's of that generation where he plays COD, and to him that's what video games are. So I think I was very quick to slap him out of it and be like, no, there's more.
wow?
There is more to games than fucking COD games. There is a lot more depth out there.
Oh
You
Thank
boy.
you.
know?
Thank you for saving
Yeah.
his life. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, so I introduced him to like Oblivion, Elder Scrolls
Right,
Oblivion,
right.
and he absolutely, and that was it. He was hooked. He absolutely loved
Nice.
it.
Nice.
And then,
I,
and then from
I know a
then,
few people in my life that might need that. Like one of my sweetheart's nephews is a Call of Duty kid, and I'm like, oh, we gotta fix that shit. He came over to the
it's,
house for the first time and saw my rig,
mhm,
and I set him down to play.
yeah,
I'm like, check this out. Let me introduce you to
yeah.
something else. Something
Uh,
that.
But it's funny how it dominoed effect. Ever since he started playing that, he's really into strategy games now. He loves Warhammer. He
Awesome.
loves Warhammer, and he loves XCOM. I don't know if you ever played the XCOM
Yes,
games.
yes,
He
yes.
absolutely loves those strategic games.
Right,
That's what
turn-based
really gets him.
movement
Yeah,
and
and you can
tactical.
see how this type of mentality is being brought in back into when we play games. Even when we recently were playing the Division together, his brain starts thinking more strategic. It's like, okay, we should do this. We should make this formation. We go over here and do this. He starts thinking. He starts thinking strategically. But if it was 3 years ago when he was playing COD, it was like just guns blazing, being a dick, and then just calling people assholes over the
Wow, yeah, the
over his
cons.
microphone. You know what I
And
mean?
that
Over the
shit's
so
just
comms.
so. Uh,
And so yeah, so it's going to be really interesting when we get more in depth into Star Citizen, and he plays that role in my ship. When we
right.
have my Carrack is the ship that I'm waiting for more than anything else. He's already developed that personality where he is that thinker. He's that guy. He's going to think before we move. Well, I can be very impulsive. He's that guy who can be all right. Okay, this is how we're going to plan this out. You know what I mean? And
Nice.
I love that. I love the fact that this game is going to give us the chance for these personalities to come through and affect the type of gameplay that we have. And I've always been, and the thing is, I don't think there is a game out there yet that has all these elements. I think Star
Yeah,
Citizen is that one game that will have all these elements.
and I hope so. So let me let me leapfrog to like a
Hmm.
final question before Vadron takes us out with
Yeah.
the final five. Related to that, are there any favorite game mechanics from other games that you would like to see in Star Citizen that haven't already been included?
I don't think so. I think Star Citizen really is. It's hitting everything that I personally have. It's ticked all my tick box, Plus, it has shown me 100 different tick boxes that I've never even thought of. The mechanics of this game are so in depth now that they're going beyond what I've been used to. Like I don't come from a background of playing Eve. I'm not used to games of that complexity, and I don't come from a background of games like that. So for me, this is all new to me in terms of this types of complexity to game. So it is doing everything that I want. Like I have certain reservations. Like we have discussed it today. Like I am worried about server size and how many
Sure.
players
Yeah.
per shard and stuff like that. But this is just technology. This is just the way things will always be for any game.
Right.
If there are
If you're pushing
technologies
the
today,
edge, yeah.
like if our technology today was 20 times stronger than it is now, StarCitizen would still be pushing up against it. That's just the reality of what we of a game like this. So no, there is nothing that I think um that isn't going to be included that I have wishful thinking for.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yeah, I think
all
it is
right.
all.
I always ask that question because I think I would have a hard time answering it with something definitive
It is
either.
very hard.
Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I mean, if you I mean, but I'm always hoping. I'm hoping somebody will be like, well, there's this one thing in this one game that was amazing and they've never talked about. I'm like, oh my god, that's brilliant. Seriously, and it's good. Continuing
Yeah.
to have those conversations. I mean, eventually we do kind of figure out new things.
The thing is with 10 for the chairman, every single thing I've ever thought about has been asked. Like I hope we have a bitching Betty. Like I hope we have some type of personal communication system. I hope we have some way of changing systems in a ship, and every single thing has been asked and addressed and done.
Right.
And 10 for the chairman has answered all those questions for me. So
Well,
yeah.
I think that we're ready for some rapid fire. Neil, are you good?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, short and sweet questions. Flight control of choice.
The flight controller choice at the minute is Xbox 360 controller, but I'm hoping to go towards a Thrustmaster at
Nice.
some stage.
All right.
I kind of like the idea, maybe down the line of a Warthog.
All right.
Something like
They are
Favorite
nice.
flyable ship.
flavor flyable ship would be. Oh, that's a tough one. What I really like flying, it has to be the Constellation. Yeah,
Yeah,
has
All
to
baby.
be
right.
the Constellation.
Yeah.
Most anticipated game mechanic.
Most anticipated game mechanic, planetary landing, definitely.
Ship combat. Close and personal, hit 'em from range, some variant strategy.
Strategy every time.
Stranded at a station and someone parks their single seater ship. Leave them to it, calm for an Uber, or murk 'em and take the ride.
Leave them to it. Never steal people's ships.
All right. And as the trivia question for the day, if you can get this right, you can go ahead, you'll get a $5 credit to your account. The question is always hard. I am a very, very broke person. So if you get the thing right, I will definitely buy you a ship skin or some subscriber flares. So are you
I
ready?
don't. No. No. Okay, go for it.
All right. I've got 1 minute counting down. And let's see here. So starting now, here's time. Ben Lesnick, what former job has Ben Lesnick held before CIG? And it has
Uh,
to be the most recent job that he got out of.
I don't know. No idea.
All right. You concede? I'm
I
looking
can
at the
see.
timer. All right. Ben
Google it.
was
Google it quick.
No, that's cheating. That's cheating. And I've got a
uh,
mechanical keyboard. It's so obvious when I'm typing. I'm like, yeah, just give me
okay,
one
okay.
second. One
Oh, yeah, I'm
second.
thinking about it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. I just need my brain to
Chaz, you know the Chaz,
refresh.
Oh hell no, I don't know.
you don't know it. Okay,
I'm a
I'll tell you what
non
he
trivia
was.
person.
All right, so Ben Lesnick actually was working in the education. He
Oh,
was
really?
working with former kindergarten teachers. He was staffing and such.
Nice.
Ah,
So he actually came from an education background.
Oh, that's
that's
really
what I
cool.
do. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I work at a
Got
junior school. Yeah.
Very
See,
cool.
trivia can be cool. You learn little things about people you never knew. You're just like, really? He's a teacher? Yeah. All right. So I believe
Well,
that is all we've got.
Cool.
all right. Well, hey, it's been an excellent playthrough. Thanks for joining us, Neil. It's been great having you on with us at Station 42. Hopefully, you
Yeah,
had a
thank you very
blast with
much for
us.
having me on today. Yeah, I had a great time, and thank you very much for both having me on today.
And
Yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't manage to make you mad or upset throughout the entire thing because I always seem to have the worst luck with UK people. I call the British guy the Scottish guy gets called the Irish, and the Irish just gets called a German. It's kind of I always do. So I'm better shut up before I mess up. So
Right on. Well,
No worries.
shout out to our audience. Thank you for spending your listening time with Station 42. If you have any comments or any requests, definitely give us your feedback in the comments. YouTube, Facebook, homing pigeon, all of the above. Whatever you need, guys. Whatever you need.
yes, we would certainly like to hear from you. If you haven't already, please give us a like and subscribe. That's what keeps us motivated. We're also always looking for guests, as I have been kind of a slacker and not been looking for one here recently. So thanks, everyone. We will see you next week.
All right, engaging that full Monty warp core. Um, I guess everyone should probably grab onto something because I think it's about to get Big Benny's up in here.
Oh boy. Okay. Okay. Radio silence. Thanks.